like us, not like us. Don't walk like us, don't talk like us, don't act like us, never been like us, never could be like us, never will be like us. They not like us. Ooh.
Gear of reporting.
UAV online.
Mercury rising.
Behold your king.
Ready for meltdown.
Kaboom!
My subjects will be glad to hear my voice.
Gear of reporting. Airship ready.
Good day, peasant. Bow to your king. Bow before me.
Electrodes ready. Rubber shoes in motion.
UAV online.
I love your brain. You're so interesting. And the way you think is so cool.
Anytime, boss. Cha-ching! Cha-ching! Cha-ching!
Hello, Invictus Kings. The glory never ends. This is the only channel in the universe that gives you the truth and nothing but the truth. The truth is, all of these people that you see live in the life that you should be living right now are not smarter than you. They're not better than you. They don't know more than you do, but they can play the game of primal status better. And it's time to understand as a good man that it's time for you to wake the fuck up to reality, touch wood, and look at the world and see the truth. We live in a world where human beings look around and project their own illusions into this reality, and some of those illusions are embedded deep into their DNA, which is the desire for a patriarch, for a father, for a god, for a leader, and those desires have specific 33 steps, 33 unfair advantages that make them recognize that person as being that god. If not, you will be relegated to the category of a poop sock peasant, which is meant to live in scarcity and live a very bad life. And in order for you to begin the process of elevating and transforming and leaving behind the poop sock cages, click this link right here. Primalstats.com is going to be the place where you can find your own truth, your own kind of kingdom, your own kind of authentic primal status that you are meant to build in this world, which will make you have an advantage in this new lizard brain economy. And of course, read the playbook, check every link in the description. There are different angles that are there for your liberation. Imagine they are your presentation. Imagine you're in front of Morpheus and he's offering you multiple red pills because it takes more than one for you to awaken. And those red pills are the links in the description. Take them all, awaken to your truth, which is that success is not deserved. Success is created through the perception that you can control about yourself in this world. And understand, Nero Knowledge, by default, Nero means black, Nero means strong, knowledge means strong knowledge or dark knowledge or black knowledge. And that's, again, to explain his name. One of the things we do is creating a glory name for yourself that will be something that elevate you. Second, he's playing the juxtaposition between being a magician king and the outlaw, which is the perfect mix that works in this new lizard brain economy. Within the minds of everybody, if you see someone writing on a whiteboard, you imagine they're a teacher who's sharing with you the truth, and him dressing like a hoodlum, like a gangster, makes him be an outlaw. So let's begin and notice the topics that he speaks about. He's literally saying the same thing, but he's saying it from different angles and different words, which shows you don't need to innovate. As long as you sound different each time, that's what matters to the lizard brain more than you trying to invent something new, because there is nothing new under the sun.
How to have the aura of God. There seems to be individuals.
Last notice, the aura of God, although the way that he's stating it creates curiosity. Is it the aura of the God, of a God? What does it mean? Curiosity is one of the most powerful motivators to the lizard brain, but more importantly, it gives them the illusion and the perception, oh, I can have the aura of a God. That's higher serotonin. and higher primal status. Yes, if he and John Anthony lifestyle could be outlaws in a way that involves a shirt at least, well, they're trying to appeal to the ladies and get laid. They're using it as a Tinder profile, every one of their videos.
Individuals in this world that just have this indescribable attraction towards them. And this can be extrapolated beyond just relationships, because when we're talking about cultivating the aura of God, which is nothing more than this particular degree of magnetism, this goes into life force, energy, electromagnetic fields, and a whole bunch of other things. But individuals that possess this aura have an ability to magnetize things that other people just can't seem to do. We all know individuals like, and we think to ourselves, how do they?
Offering them an identity that is superior. And notice again, SAC, not SAC dynamics, but SAC squared. One of them is superiority. People need to feel superior by belonging to your tribe. Nobody will join your tribe if they think it's a tribe of losers, and they will leave you behind. So again, offering them the pathway to elevating their serotonin and identity through having this ability to be a special person is very important to them. And the Bedouin King, I messaged you right now in Telegram, since you are one of the emperors with us. Check it out right there and check out your Telegram.
Do it, why they like that. And once you have the ability to cultivate a magnetic aura, you kind of possess a key to life in your hands, because when you really simplify life, in a societal context, life is just about people.
What is he doing? Again, by speaking about having a God aura, he's offering you the heaven. The heaven is the vision of the benefits and the vision of the life you'll have once you embody the identity that he is giving you. But who defines the identity? The cult leader. And that's one of the most powerful brainwashing tools, to tell people this is the identity you should aspire to. And then you tell them that this identity behaves in this and that and the other way. You can make that identity only accept to pay high fees because they choose the best, in order for you, for example, to get paid big money, and many, many other tools that you can imbue within identity.
Once you have the ability to magnetize and attract people in whatever realm it is that you desire, you quite literally possess the key to success in your life. And as you can see in my drawings, come on, this is some of my best work. This is genuinely some of my best work.
By the way, attracting people, magnetize and attract people, speaks to women. That's language that he's trying to create. Some chick crack, and for the incels to get NESB. So the lazy way to getting laid.
I don't know why this nigga he looks a bit, there's just something off about him.
It's dark.
There's something off about him. I don't know what it is that's off about him, but right. Anyways, let's get into it.
I'll spend 40 minutes doing that just to rub it off.
And see, that's the most painful part, because I'll really be drawing this for like 40 minutes just to wipe it off in a couple seconds. AJ ain't even lying. She wearing short skirts, I wearing t-shirts. She's cheer captain and I'm on the bleachers. Dreaming about the day when you wake up and find that what you're looking for has been here the whole time. You can see that I'm the one who understands you. See, niggas don't really know that deep down. I'm really, what do they call them? A Swiftie? Is that what they call them?
Oh, I thought he was going to say a coconut.
Wow. Wow. So just because I'm from the hood, I have to like straight hood music.
Hey,
can't even enjoy some good
Taylor Swift has some real bangers.
She's had some, bro,
real
I'm
bangers,
telling you,
and longevity.
Bro, I'm telling you, you don't even want to go there, bro.
You can't even talk bad on Taylor anyway. You'll get cancelled.
Yeah. That's why I said I ain't, like, you know what I'm saying? I seen people go to a concert and break down in tears. I'm like, that's serious.
Someone DM'd you saying, not gonna lie, the fact she speak like this with no script is almost insane to me. Bro articulates himself so well, no glaze. That's glaze.
Thank you very much.
Glaze.
It's not glaze.
all of these different things show one, the peacemaker, which is two supposedly friends speaking together. Second, the trickster. And third, it is really a fractionation experience. They stop before returning to build up the tension, build up the curiosity, and again, to make people get ready for the next thing. The Bedouin god doesn't him and his off-camera viewers singing silly songs and acting foolish in general lessen their mythical image. It does. However, I noticed that the market that he appeals to is a market of idiots. So he needs to do that. Again, his market is closer to Aiden Ross than to some serious, like, than to the followers of Osho. Although you've seen it, Gurdjieff is silly as fuck. Again, there is a place for it. It depends who you're speaking to. Remember, how old is he? He's like 22, 23. A lot of the people following him are 17, 16, 13. And so for him, it needs to be this way. It's like being on Kick. You cannot be a serious professor on Kick. By default, you're surrounded by degenerates. So that's what's happening. I mean, imagine that Indian guru singing popular songs and people becoming disillusioned. Yes, if Sadhguru did it, it wouldn't work as well. It might be because people will always try to justify the things. Like I remember there was there was I was watching a video again. I will play it, a video about 1 second, about the latest the latest thing by Andrew Tate. And although he fucked with the people that have a lot of money, they still needed to believe in him. So I'm sure if they hear it from Sadhguru, they will be like, look, the levity of heart, the fun that he's having. 1 second, yes. The fun that he's having in this world, how amazing he is. Oh, wow. So people will always find, like Kumare. You've seen it, that Kumare guy, the Indian dude that pretended to be a guru. Even when he left, people didn't want to believe. They thought, oh, is this another test? Are you testing us? So again, there is something within that. Yes, Gurdjieff did whatever he wanted. Again, I would agree with that. So I don't see it as wrong. I see it as him speaking specifically to a very young audience. And yes, Trump dancing to YMCA and they still love him, but all the fans are idiots. Yes. And I would argue today, almost all the fans are idiots, and you are the one responsible for elevating them. So there is no harm in being idiotic a little bit. So let's find that other video. I downloaded it right now. So it's 1 second. It's this. Let's go. Okay. So these dudes, like Tate, promised them that they are going to come to meet him in Dubai because they bought his daddy coin bullshit. Again, let's start from here, just because you'll see, even though they got disappointed, they will always find a way to justify how their daddy is correct, even if their daddy is proven to scam them. Trump as well. He's making money over hand over fist in the crypto game. And people, they're like, he's draining the swamp. He has many people, including one of the dudes that used to work for for the deep state itself. Many of the people that are in the deep state, and they're like, he's draining the swamp, he's cleaning out the deep state. Yes, he even did it in Saudi Arabia, and they pretend to respect him for his billions. I don't believe it's the first time. I believe for 4 years ago or whatever, he did the same thing where he will dance ridiculously.
Tate's other crypto scams, Issa chimed in the replies with some damage control, saying the dinner will go on, my friends. Gonna send out invites short.
So this is, I'm just showing you the last part of the video, not all of it, just for you to notice how people, like Mark Twain said, it's much easier to con people than to convince them that they have been conned. Human beings, once they believe in a god, especially if they see him as their soulmate, they refuse to change their opinion, and they become stuck with it, and it becomes like a religious belief where you can, no matter how their god is wrong, They will say, it's my God. He's perfect. Can do no wrong.
And we'll make a small group chat. Apologies for the delays. One of the top daddy holders responded to Issa saying my flight is in a few hours. Others have already left. We cannot run the risk of shortly when previously let down. Another responded to Issa saying that there has to be more than that. They told him how unprofessional it was, that they invested thousands and they're all deeply underwater. Again, to anyone who has been a victim of rug pulls or false promises surrounding the daddy token, you can take...
For example, again, like I said, literally, one of the collaborators of George Soros works in the Trump government, is in the cabinet. Trump chose him, and nobody gives a fuck. They're like, yo, George Soros is so bad that we'll get one of his lieutenants to be running the US government. And again, MAGA did not change. How many of the MAGA truly changed their mind? They keep on having a stunk face about the behaviors of Trump and always justifying it.
Take it up with Issa, who goes by Issa the Cooker on Twitter. I repeat, Issa the Cooker.
Anyway,
after
let's
my
keep
thread
going.
about the daddy dinner debacle got a bit...
Notice how, again, they were going to be constantly not accepting that they have been look, this dude, again, this is related to this. So this guy flew all over the world to go to Dubai and wait for the promised dinner with Andrew Tate, who didn't show up and didn't tell them anything.
I want to make it clear we are not victims, nor do we believe we have been scammed. All of us who came to Dubai did so without an invitation. We knew the risk going into it. He says they recorded the video in a light-hearted way to point out their concerns without blaming anyone. We are all still holding daddy, end of story. I tried to be polite with my response, saying that I appreciate and acknowledge that he believes that, but he is wrong and deluded. The fact is these guys traveled to Dubai for an...
So who am I speaking about? I'm speaking about Scott Bessent. He's literally one of the closest people that work for George Soros. And again, if you tell Hillary it's funded by Soros, everybody will go, yeah, crazy. But Trump literally chooses the right-hand man of George Soros to run in his cabinet. Oh, he's draining the swamp.
advertised event.
I told you, again, this is related to something important. Once you cross a threshold of primal status, you cannot fall down anymore. I will also replay that video because it's something to remember forever. But that's once you cross the primal status glass ceiling, nothing you do becomes wrong, even if it's wrong. Did he take them to the budget Indian restaurant in Dera? It did take them nowhere. They went there, waited for a full day, and nobody showed up.
Promoted by Tate himself. I told him that I hope he can finally accept what happened and learn from it. This complete inability to accept that he has been shafted and scammed is, I believe, a clear example of the cult leader relationship which Tate has with these guys that I've been talking about for a long time. The hold he has over them is extreme. They cannot bring themselves to believe that he would ever do wrong by them. In the following days, the Tates did...
Once you, again, get that level of primal stats in their mind, same as that dude, the Nero Knowledge, he can act as ridiculous as he wants. People will find meaning in it, and they will find beauty in it.
Some PR damage control. Nate got to take a picture with his daddies.
Again, take a picture with his daddies. But it's very much related to this. This is absolutely the truth. There is a level of primal status once you reach. Again, there are even Zen monks that became drunks and they will go to prostitutes and people will be like, he's enlightened. Or one that was absolutely angry all the time. They're like enlightened rage. So once you reach enough primal status, it's the same thing as if you are poor and you have your own personality. People call you a resistant mule. And they will absolutely crush your soul. And like Janko yesterday, you need to be humbled. But if you're rich and you're you have a unique personality, a tough personality, they'll be like, he's eccentric. It's you don't understand rich people. He's eccentric. Same thing. If you are a poop sock peasant, you get punished for it. If you're rich, people will find a way to justify it. And that's again the way that you cannot fall down anymore once you cross enough threshold of primal status.
I make a lot of predictions. 9 times out of 10, they're wrong. Not proud of that. Wish I was better at it. But, I'm no Baba Vanga. Because if I was, I'd have every prediction be wrong. So I'll take the occasional victory. And one thing that I predicted and have been proven right about time and time again over the years is that once you reach a certain level of status in any given industry, it is impossible to fail. You only fail upwards. Not exactly a prediction, more so just a hard truth where once you're an elite member of an industry, you can't get knocked down at all. It's impossible. It's like fucking Derek Zoolander, but instead of being unable to turn left, you're unable to go down. You're unable to look downwards. You can only continue to fail going up the ladder. It's incomprehensible. It is a phenomenon that defies all logic. Why would someone who is bad at their job, a terrible leader that leads companies into financial ruin, just draining them of ham, constantly just hemorrhaging money, bleeding out, why would that person continue to land new jobs in equal or higher power than their previous one?
And the dude from WePay is an example of that. Recently, he got $200 million after he bankrupted WePay for his new business venture. Remember. Again, the Bedouin god, you know a lot about Gurdjieff. To me, Gurdjieff is a troll. He has nothing real about him. He's straight up a con man who was building a cult in order for him to live, to have money, to have food, to have power. And that's it. Almost, and nothing that he did was really special. But because he trolled so hard, people thought it's amazing. Also, another thing, remember, we live in the age of isolation. So the people, when the black dude, Nero Knowledge, is singing to his boyfriend, they think, oh, let's sing together. That's so endearing. We can be best friends. Yes, or those dervishes who wander around and are basically homeless beggars, and people ascribe wisdom to whatever they say and host them and feel honored. Exactly. You see it. That's the point that you are going to absolutely see the world differently through, which is if you think about any of these people that build enough primal status as being one of those dervishes, you will know that even if they sing and dance, people will think, oh, it's beyond my human capability to understand. This wisdom must be so beyond my truth that I need to accept it. And again, that's because human beings need to believe there are heroes and gods, and they think those are a different level of humanity, although it's not real. All human beings are the same. But they think, whoa, this guy must be so special. It must be part of his secret sauce. It must be why he gets the downloads from God, because he's having so much fun.
I think reading so many different books, you expose yourself to different ways of saying things, vocabulary, and it's just kind of becomes ingrained. Okay, guys, I remember in the last video, you lot complained about yellow.
Let's go. Arash at the strip club must be spiritual. He did it. He literally made it. So that he said, go to the spiritual club in order to fight the demons. And he said, second, the women at the spiritual club are so much better than the women in a church. That's why I don't want to go to church to be with those demonic women. I want to go to the strip club. Those women are honest. So again, the reframe. And when people believe in Arash as a god and a savior, they will believe what he says because they will think, what do I know? That's the mistake of good men, is they think, what do I know? And that makes them accept idiotic shit that is said and done by some of these con men, and they consider that to be a special move.
So, I won't use yellow ever again.
Just to throw it all away.
Cool.
Throw it
Actually, let me go with green. Perfect. So, let's first begin what I mean when I say the aura of God or God aura. Now, outside the personification, anthropomorphization of God being this personality sat in the sky, which doesn't even make sense, because for God to be sat in the sky, he must have feet on the ground and thighs and And this is nothing more than the third dimensional realm conceptualizations of God in our own human minds being projected.
By the way, there are huge schools of thought that argue this point and literally fought and died arguing whether God has physical form or not. And so by him saying it doesn't make sense, canceling a point that led for hundreds of years to people killing each other is funny to me because he doesn't understand the arguments of each side. But let's keep going.
Into God, which doesn't even make sense because, you know, a God.
Again, his argument is it doesn't make sense. And that's, again, I have shown you when people speak to the lizard brain, a lot of these people that become gurus, often their only argument is like Arash. He will always say, it's weird. That's his only answer. It's weird. Or he will say, you're a woman. You're a woman right now. You've seen it. Andrew Tate will say something similar, which is often you will hear him saying, what color is your Bugatti? Or what do you know? Or any of those are ways in order for them to win. And this guy is saying it doesn't make sense. I will rewind it. And he's speaking about something that he has no clue about because he thinks it's a light point, and literally it divided religion for a long, long time. The Abrahamic religion specifically. Gurdjieff even bragged about being a con man in his book and still didn't hurt him with his followers. There is a live stream where we did a breakdown of John Zerka, where he said that. He said that John Zerka said, since the beginning, since I've been a bouncer, I've been a con man. That's my greatest skill. And I'm still till today. And then he did the face, and people were like, ha ha ha, so funny. You're so funny. So they didn't want to believe it. They still followed him to the letter. John Zerka said he's a con man. He even asked leader of the local Gurdjieff group what's changed for him after 50 years of studying his book, and said nothing, but still a devotee. Human beings need to believe and need to have a God, need to have a leader, need to have a spiritual saint, mythical creature. And if it's not one of us, the good guys, someone else will take that spot and will be the charlatan winning while the good guy is struggling. Again, listen to him. He's speaking about a point in theology that he's saying it doesn't make sense, when in reality it's a point that's contentious, that created wars and death and hundreds of years of separation.
And this is nothing more than the third dimensional realm conceptualizations of God in our own human minds being projected into God, which doesn't even make sense because, you know, a God defined is a God confined, because our third dimensional realm.
Anyway, well, can you define abundance? Yes, but does it confine abundance? That's also one of the tricks that is played on the lizard brain. If someone says something that rhymes, and we speak about that as being one of the lover skills, the lover archetype. If you can speak in a way that rhymes, people will believe it's true. And that's why oracles and divinations by supposed mystics often rhyme, because people think if it rhymes, it must be true. This is not true.
Which doesn't even
what he's going to say right now, but it rhymes. So people take it as true.
Makes sense because, you know, a God defined is a God confined.
Doesn't that rhyme? A God defined is a God confined. He's now depositioning the alternative, but also using rhyme in order for him to seem correct, when often it's not.
Because our third dimensional realm existence in our physical vessels, we limit God in our understanding. So for whatever reason, let's just conceptualize God as the infinite intelligence. Now,
again, can you define what's infinite and what is the meaning of intelligence? Yes, and therefore, are you confined in it? No.
We deem infinite intelligence is an aspect of you that exists beyond the third dimensional realm. The truth of what I'm saying is beyond illusion. So we conceptualize God is nothing more than the infinite intelligence, which exists beyond illusion, and it's not confined.
Anytime you're defining words, especially if you define it in a unique way, you are penetrating the minds of others by infecting them with your definitions like a meme.
And by the third dimensional realm illusions that we are, such as time-space constraint or even polarity, for example.
By the way, that's bamboozling. What is bamboozling? It's the process of speaking fast like this, as if you're saying something important, and people cannot follow how fast he's speaking. And therefore, they believe it because it seems like something that is a download or an inspiration from God. When no, it's just bamboozling. It's saying so many words that it stops the thinking and the critical facility of the brain.
That we are, such as time, space constraint, or even polarity, for example. It is the most high level of consciousness, once again, which exists within you, as it says in
By the way, the Most High is El Elyon, and we're the Elohim.
the Bible. The temple of God was not made with hands, and Corinthians will tell you that you are the dwelling place in the temple of God. So God is the most high level of consciousness. Consciousness is nothing more than immaterialized reality. It is quite literally the substance of reality.
Notice how many definitions and how much bamboozling he's going through. This is again a skill. If you can speak in a way that sounds rhythmical, in a way that sounds enigmatic, and in a way that defines your own definitions of words, bam, you control that new universe like a motherfucker.
Consciousness is nothing more than an altered degree of matter. What we call matter can be likened to ice. Ice in a different rate of vibration.
Again, metaphor is not a proof of anything. So he's saying matter can be likened to ice. Why? Why is ice the metaphor that represents matter more than anything else? And again, why is consciousness meaning matter? Notice the links, those are complex equivalences he's creating. And those complex equivalences will create a conclusion that you don't know how he came through to, but it seems good because you accepted these. You accept, oh, consciousness means matter. Really? So your soul, your consciousness is matter? No. But then matter is ice. Really? Matter is ice? Okay.
Comes steam. Consciousness is steam. Consciousness is also can be.
Notice. So consciousness is matter, and matter is ice, and the steam is, again, all that is a way to create a map of reality that doesn't link to any validity or logic, because logic is unnecessary. But what sounds good, the very similitudes, the lies that sound true are more powerful. And that's one of the ways. Did you notice this kind of circular riddle where like consciousness is like the other side of matter, and matter is ice, and ice is steam.
Associated with your frequency, can also be associated with your self-concept, can also be associated with your imagination.
By the way, frequency, how do you measure it? How do you measure it? Again, build your own. The only way to win in this reality is to not be on the sidelines spectating, or to not be a victim choosing to victimize yourself. Remember, you're a god. Remember, you're the one that can create. He created truly his own universe with his own blah, 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 which is, again, potent, but it's bullshit. It's straight up. If you believe this, especially each few days or each week, he will create a new video that gives you a whole different set of blah, blah, blah that keeps you confined and that is often contradictory. Save yourself. If you have the ambition and the desire and the belief that you're doing and going to do something great in this world, click this link right here. The free evaluation will show you the style of primal status and the new universe you're meant to create in this world, and you will get offered a free a free ability to access by email the 10-day video trainings that show you the hidden rules of success in this new lizard brain economy that these gurus are taking advantage of but reveal to nobody. And then you'll be ready for the Trinity, the third book, which is the Primal Stats Playbook. There you will make this year the best year of your existence. But to return to this and understand the way that he presents this, one, he's taking advantage from the human's weakness, which is if someone writes something on a whiteboard or blackboard or any of board, they see you as the teacher who's given them the instructions they're supposed to absorb and to see as truth. So children have been raised to see the symbol of the whiteboard as a symbol of truth. Second, all the ways that he presents arrows there make them think, oh, there is a chain of cause and effect. So he must have done his way of thinking, and he must be saying the correct thing. And third, the way he jumps definitions and metaphors and links things that are unlinked, it's a way for him to create his own definitions that often are wrong, because the problem is if you are making decisions in this life based on the wrong assumptions, you will lose. And he is literally filling you with the wrong assumptions.
One thing on imagination in particular is quite funny. When you grow up as a child, you grow up in a world where they make fun of imagination and they kind of diminish imagination. A lot of people don't understand that your beliefs about your degree of imagination or your consciousness is actually what sets up the perimeter or the borders of what you're able to attain. Because if you deem imagination as childish, then you won't be able to utilize your imagination to be able to create any.
Who? Like, tell me what? Do children get prevented from playing or anything of that? I would say it's more that the children addiction to the iPads and to the screens is what's killing their imagination more than this conspiracy that he's creating. But at least he's using conspiracy. It's part of the things that we understand are so powerful. And again, make sure to check out the Advanced Brainwashing Bible. It expires soon. I release the 4th training in the Emperor only level. So join us there, and you will also get access to my breakdown of Bobby Axelrod and Billions this week. So get the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th training of the Advanced Brainwashing Bible, and they are coming soon, 5th, by next weekend before they expire, because only emperors are serious enough to get serious levels of firepower.
Serious. And that's a bar that down. Think about it like this. They say
another thing, Owen Cook as well, when he's like, repeat after me. The magnificent poop soccery of high vibe. The same thing when this guy says, that's a bar, write it down. He is putting into your mind that he is someone who says immense wisdom that should be written down. One, who tells students to write down things? You already know the answer. And who, like, what do people write down, students, is things that will get examined on because they're so important. And therefore, he creates the illusion that he's sharing gems by telling people, that's a bar, write that down, and he does it often. Owen makes them repeat it. Repeat after me. Blah, 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 blah. Those are same concepts in order for people to think that he's sharing wisdom when he's not.
Imagination is make-believe, when the truth of the matter is belief makes. So you have to then give a degree of seriousness to your imagination, because that is the aspect of God. Hence why Einstein said imagination is more.
By the way, he's linking things in a way that they shouldn't be linked. He said people think that imagination is make-believe, which is correct, but the belief makes. They're not contradictory, because belief makes is a self-fulfilling prophecy. And you need to imagine something in order for you to believe in it. So you first make believe, and then you believe, and then you create the self-fulfilling prophecy. But according to him, oh no, that's wrong. Let's rewind it a little bit, but that's absolutely incorrect.
And that's a bar that down. Think about it like this. They say imagination is make-believe, when the truth of the matter is belief makes. So you have to then give a degree of seriousness to your imagination, because that is the aspect of God. Hence why Einstein said imagination is more important than logic, right? And it all comes down to the understanding of what we mean. So when we're talking about having the aura of God, all I mean is coming to an understanding of a metaphysical or an explanation of aura that exists beyond third dimensional realm constraints. Because a lot of people will make the mistake of thinking, oh, aura is dependent upon how you look. And if you look at it from a point of psychology, that's called the halo effect. But I'm not talking about it. It's not going to be about how you look. It's not going to be about what you say, because as I'll break down further in the video, your frequency speaks before you've even spoken. And that's a bar that down, and I'll come back to that. But when we're talking about aura, it's not going to do with how you look. It's not going to do with how you sound. It's not going to do with how much money you have or your fame, which are all things that we kind of attribute to creations of aura. It's going to be coming from within, as everything should in reality. Because unfortunately, anything that the world gives you, it can also take from you. But what you give to yourself can never be taken. So if the world can give you aura, it can take your aura away from you. But when your aura, or what I'm going to explain from a more degree of spiritual science, comes from within, that's when things change. So that was just...
By the way, notice he's calling it spiritual science. How? How can you create science about something you cannot touch, you cannot observe, that you need to have faith about what other people tell you about? Again, it is a way for him to create credibility within a field that is filled with losers and with people who are too lazy to take action.
Kind of like a little introduction, but let's get into it more serious.
So this is the fractionation. Do you remember the times in middle school or high school where the class session gets so heavy that your brain stops functioning? The purpose of these pauses or fractionations is to not make things turn heavy by adding some trickster levity and by giving people time to process before being ready for the next thing.
Make sure you take notes and leave them in the comments. Guys, I can't, to kind of spin back to the point that I made at the start, life is about people. So once you understand how to magnetize people towards you, you quite literally will be able to increase your business. You'll be able to increase the
Why is he telling them on this point? It means people are so lazy that they wouldn't, his people are so lazy they wouldn't even make a step forward where they write notes, which again encourages his comments. And now he's selling them on that point by giving them the idea that writing, you're writing their own notes will magnetize people and blah, blah,
degree
blah.
of relationships you have, better relationships even materialize opportunities, job opportunities, career promotions, honestly. So this is arguably probably one of the most important videos in my opinion. But yeah, AJ, you were gonna say something. What was you gonna say, man?
Let's see again. So he's selling them on a dream. That's the heaven and the hell. He follows more the PSC communication container. He did not get to the next evolution, which is the ICAD framework. That's one of the bonuses you get immediately as an emperor level member. Check it out because it's the latest evolution in cold creation, ICAD, instead of the really potent and still relevant PSC communication container, but it's the next level.
Okay. You're a legend. My calendar in 2 days is fully booked.
Oh, is this a comment from somebody?
Yeah.
I thought you were calling me a legend.
Or like a DM. Well, you are, bro.
Wow.
You are.
Start flirting with me.
Okay.
People need to believe in that. Legend means mythical creature by default, not mere mortal. And remember the principle. There are no legends. Everybody's the same. There are no heroes, especially now. Again, did you notice that in the past there were a lot more heroes and now not so many? Why? Because one, the whole of the world is creating shit tests that destroy and rob the self-esteem of men. And second, all of those people are constantly filmed in their natural state and habitat, broadcast into the world, them singing and dancing in pink tank tops or whatever the fuck those guys are doing, which shows that even if they have heroic moments, people cannot build myths about them because they know the mixed signals of their poop sockery. However, we benefit from understanding something. Those people keep on staying poop socks because they're used to it. However, you understand the recency bias, which is that you can reinvent yourself by using the things in the advanced brainwashing Bible, and then bam, you become the hero that the world has been missing. Till now, it has been the evil guys winning, charlatans building their legend. Time for the good guys to wake the fuck up. Understand, logic is a is a little small part of winning. It's not even a blip on the radar, and that unless you control your own destiny and your own primal status, you will get given a random set that may or may not serve you. Often it doesn't. Often it's bullshit.
I'll do it off camera. My calendar in 2 days is fully booked. Never before, despite every strategy I tried.
Testimonials.
Right. Watching your videos diligently over the last 10 days or so has not only changed my frequency, but changed my life. Enough respect.
Notice, NESB. Do you hear that? New, easy, safe, and big. He watched his videos for 10 days, and now his calendar is fully booked. What is that? That is being a kingmaker, and that is the essence or the reason for that testimonial.
If you know, you know.
Much appreciation, my brother. The pleasure is all mine. The pleasure.
Also remember, if there are more than 100,000 people that watch him, if some dude happens to be lucky and to get results out of 100,000 that didn't get anything, that again creates a magnified anecdotal power that is often used in religion and in religious conversion.
Which is all mine. And yeah, it gets to a certain point where, you know, all these kind of third dimensional realm explanations of things, such as you need to do this, you need to be this, doing never leads to creation. Doing will actually...
That's bamboozling. Doing leads to creation. And notice, he's calling what he's doing third, 3D, like realm explanation.
does nothing more than facilitate and midwife the energy of your consciousness.
No, there are a lot of people who are manifesting all day and they're broke like a motherfucker.
Or frequency into existence. But it can't take you to where you want to be. Hence why strategies and stuff like that don't work. It's exactly...
No, incorrect. Absolutely incorrect. Soon we'll do a breakdown on a Freemason beyond 33 level. Let me find that one, where literally the dude was such high level Freemason, yet he was broke. He was literally a janitor. Let's open this one. So again, this dude was straight up. Let's find the
Mormon church.
Let's find
where you had this card and it had a code on it. Like nowadays, everybody's from church office building. And to make a long story short,
yes,
he said, "Well, what do you want to talk to us about?" I said, "Well, we had these dreams, and this is true. Similarities are the fact you go through 3 levels." And in each level, you're made to
we'll do a breakdown of this, but I want to find
this one story. There was this one guy, I won't say his name.
Okay, let's see.
And as you may know, there's the big no-nos in the Mormon churches. You can't smoke.
Okay, let's
evangelist up there, and they were talking about the Book of Revelation.
No, let's
praying for you in Jesus' name.
Oh, it was before.
Sexually vampirizing children.
Yes,
as energy hours laid on that very same altar that the Holy King James Bible laid on.
Yes,
him right, and they were also with this. It was like, which is like a suburb of Chicago.
Yes.
I don't know if it's still there or not, but it was a very weird part. It was broad daylight, and they said, "Don't worry about it. The cops are all devil worshippers." And
by the way, you'll see, even though he had access to all the supposed spiritual technology and dark side shit, he was still broke as fuck. Because again, it matters whether the whole cult is made to steal the efforts of people through primal status, and it has nothing to do with some spiritual technology that is truly hidden.
In the center of the park, there was this like area where they had these weird Egyptian statues.
We'll do a breakdown on something like this very soon. Remember, tomorrow we will be breaking down Bobby Axelrod. I won't be on YouTube. Join immediately to get access to the first expiring 4 trainings of the Advanced Brainwashing Bible, and you'll get a full month of those weekly releases. And tomorrow you'll be with us, sharing in this time and in this moment both the live and the recording of Billions series, the season 2.
Statues. There literally was an altar with horns, kind of like the pictures you see of the altar in the Temple of Solomon, that kind of thing. And they brought out this black book, and
anyway, we'll do a breakdown on that. I want to go to the part where he's like, "Yo, dude, I did everything
I wanted, wine, women, song, power, occult power, whatever."
I forwarded it because I'll keep you curious.
And at the end of those 7 years, he could kill me and take me to hell. By that time, I had been told that the Satanists believe that hell is like one long orgy of drugs, sex, and rock and roll, so to speak.
By the way, with the things this guy revealed with Align a lot with Andrew Tate, like a motherfucker. It's crazy. But we'll speak about it in another time.
So I didn't think going to hell was a bad thing at that time. So I had to sign my name in blood in this black book. And supposedly, this sounds funny, but I was supposed to go out and find 7 people to sell their souls to the devil under me, so to speak, sort of like multi-level marketing, but for the devil. And I did. I got 7, and I feel so bad about this. I've contacted as many of these people as I can find to try and talk them out of it and, repent and all that. But, And still, I didn't have the things I needed. I had.
Do you hear that? So again, same. This will destroy the whole point of Nero knowledge. That action doesn't lead to anything. It's about the spiritual exercises you do. Yo, dude, this literally dude was selling his soul, collecting devil worshippers and like bleeding for the higher level beyond the 33-degree Freemasons, and still listen to him. His life was still at the lowest totem pole of popsockery, because again, it's not about being a member into a cult. It's being the owner of the cult, like an MLM. Be the Patrick Bet-David. Don't be the little Latinas who are losing money.
My life was not good, even though I was supposedly this high-level warlock, satanic priest, blah, blah, blah. I was working in a nothing job. I was a security guard in a warehouse.
Do you hear that?
Barely getting by.
Yes.
And
labor omnia vincit, that's superior to laziness.
And then what happened?
Well, we'll do a breakdown on it soon, but remember what that dude said. Like, he literally had the most access to the most occult knowledge ever, and yet this dude dares to come and tell you that action doesn't matter. That's the stupidest thing. Action, okay. If you're acting further within the slave job that you have, if you're acting for someone else's benefit and towards someone else's agenda, of course not. But be the owner, be the master, and then your actions will be those $100,000 per hour actions, because they are multiplied.
Third dimensional realm explanations of things, such as you need to do this, you need to be this, doing.
You hear that? Doing? No. We love doing. Labor omnia vincit.
Never leads to creation. Doing or action does nothing more than facilitate and midwife the energy of.
Anyway, the other dude was energetically aligned with whatever the fuck you want to think about, and he was still a guard in a warehouse.
Your consciousness or frequency into existence, but it can't take you to where you want to be. Hence why strategies and stuff like that don't work. It's exactly why I'm high.
The opposite. My life changed because of strategies. Again, including when I was a teenager, I was the most trusting, the most good vibe, good-hearted little boy, and yet my life was shit, and I was constantly re-traumatized by bipolar mother. I had no money. I was shunned by other people because I was the smartest guy in the school, and they considered that to be weird and to be nerdy and all the shit. Nothing was good was happening when I was on the frequency of good vibes
by people, because strategy.
When you take action, and again, I looked at the world, people with absolute no care about their own energy are winning because they do the right thing, and people who spend their time cultivating that energy lose the days that they could have progressed on.
Don't work, and people at a certain level understand that, because once you can alter your frequency, you make.
Who are those people at a certain level? Again, even a con man like Elon Musk still speaks about working 100, 120 hours or more per week. Even people like Dan Penny and Andrew Tate speak about working a whole lot. This other dude that I showed you, who was at the time a 96 level, he went beyond the 33 levels of Freemason, and he arrived to the 96 levels because they take them from those 33 and they turn them into into Luciferians. Yet he was still broke like a motherfucker.
Strategies and stuff are relevant.
No, strategies are super relevant.
I mean, this makes no sense.
Just try it. Try the preview, the playbook, and use some of the 33 unfair advantages, and you will see same person, different results. Then you will truly believe this dude is lying. Again, why is he releasing like 2 or 3 videos per week if doing doesn't matter?
But that's what frequency.
And why does he pay that Brown dude, the last name Brown? What's his name? Owen Brown, whatever the name of the dude. He pays him around $2,000 per hour for marketing strategies. Why, if this didn't matter? Again, he's telling you strategies don't matter, yet he's paying big bucks in order for him to get marketing advice.
I mean, this makes no sense, But that's what frequency does. It defies rationality. It makes things like
Then why? Again, this guy, literally, I'll show you. I will explain to you. Let's show. So he's telling you the frequency is what matters. Taking action is bullshit, blah, blah, blah. Okay, let's hold him to his word for it, because again, I hated that. For the longest time, the fake gurus have been, and I'm looking at the videos right here. For the longest time, these fucking gurus have been saying shit that confused the shit out of me and delayed my success so much. Like, for real. I lost years of my life because I listened to this mumbo jumbo bullshit. 1 second. Okay. 1 second. No. Yeah. Moni, I think it's like this. We will find it. Okay. So you have to understand. 1 second. Let's see here. Okay. So I want you to see and understand the truth about these guys. He said, and let's put it a bit further, a bit back. He said that strategies don't matter. There is a full video with him, with what's the name of that guy that we exposed? William Brown. So there is a full thing. Notice here, he's like, action and strategies do not matter. Then why the fuck are you paying $2,000 per hour? Again, let's put him here. I found the video, it's ready. Not all of it. There is a longer video, but let's get the quick testimonial video. And he's like, strategies don't matter. They're third. Okay, why do you pay so much money for marketing, coaching, and advice? I'm for it. I'm all for paying for the best knowledge ever. But why the contradictions, dude?
What's up, guys? I'm Nero, and I'm going to get straight to it. So I joined William's program in April because I wanted a way to best deliver the service that I'm providing.
Do you hear that? And he's like, in the other one, tactics and strategies do not matter, dude. It's the frequency.
Now, funnily enough, at that time, I was doing low 5 figures for a while.
So his high vibe didn't matter.
Maybe over half a year. And this was in April.
So his frequency didn't. He needed practical knowledge.
Now, July is not even finished, and I'm literally on the way, hopefully by the end of this week. I don't believe in hope, but by the end of this week, 2 more clients, and I would have done 6 figures in a month from going from low 5 figures. And it's crazy because Williams, it's literally plug and play.
Those plug and play. Isn't that tactics?
Like the frameworks, you literally just input.
Frameworks, isn't that strategies? So again, same dude, same dude. And listen to him here. And I see you, the Bedouin King. I will read that, but I want you to hear him shitting on strategies when he's literally paying 30 grand per month for strategies and frameworks.
Your consciousness or frequency into existence, but it can't take you to where you want to be. Hence why strategies and stuff like that don't work. It's exactly why I'm hired by people, because strategies don't work and people.
That's what you see why he's saying it, in order to argue for himself that he doesn't give you strategies, he gives you good vibes only. The Bedouin King. Yes, why doesn't he sit on a park bench and manifest frequencies and watch his bank account grow? He went to the community college library for the ambiance. Exactly. Yes.
At a certain level, understand that, because once you can alter your frequency, you make strategies and stuff irrelevant.
Do you hear that? When he is literally paying 30 grand plus per month for strategies.
I mean, this makes no sense, but that's what frequency does. It defies rationality.
That's him selling his services. You have to understand. He sells his services, but when he speaks here, more of the truth, listen to him saying it's plug and play, it's strategies, and blah, blah, blah.
And it's crazy because Williams, it's literally plug and play. Like the frameworks, you literally just input your information into the frameworks that, you study from.
I don't agree with that. Anyone who offers you plug and play in this way, unless now in the age of AI, but before that, you are just copying someone else. And if you have a copy of someone else with different words and names, that is you losing.
And then it's really about the way that I look at it. I see so many people talking about the best strategies, the best techniques. I don't think William teaches any of that. I'm certain he doesn't teach any of that. And this is something that actually I believe. I believe in principles. And this guy teaches the principles for building a coaching or consulting business. The
Same
principle.
thing again. And here he's telling you it has nothing to do with anything except your frequency. I know so many good people who are broke as fuck, so many good people who cannot even make ends meet, so many people who are fucked up. They're all lying about how much they make anyway. Yes. Otherwise, that show off some of the symbols of their wealth. I noticed he didn't even get a chain. If he's making, according to him, there is another video where he says he makes $135,000 per month. He could get some of the chain like Jack Dorothy or any of those. Same as Owen, never shown his friends and parties. Yes. Yeah, yes, he'd show off his luxury car and home if he had anything instead of just his sunglasses and a public library. Exactly, you get it. Now, thank you, King of the Bedouins. And now check. He's the same dude that pays a lot of money for tactics and strategies, who is now telling you is the frequency. That's what I get paid for. It's superior. And that's a lie that keeps you confused. And I hate that. It delayed my success. Why did it take 20 years? Because people, motherfuckers like Owen Cook, led me astray. Guys that like this, that say the wrong thing, lead you astray, and then you believe that, and bam, 1, 2, 3 years of your life, like Owen Cook is saying, go spend in nature 2, 3 years, and suddenly you'll get the idea that will make you $1 billion. Literally, that's his advice. Go to Catalina Island. Go to the local farm. Why aren't farmers billionaires? They're in nature all day. Anyway, right. Show me a humble rapper who doesn't have anything, which shows he's coming up. Exactly. And again, he's in the UK, a black dude in the hood in the UK, and doesn't even have a bling bling chain after he's making supposedly $135,000 a month. Doesn't exist.
Your consciousness or frequency into existence. But it can't take you to where you want to be. Hence why strategies and stuff like that don't work. It's exactly.
Notice he's speaking about frequency. Why didn't he, just like you said, King of the Bedouins, sit on a bench park, like on a park bench, and just manifest? Nothing is happening.
By people, because strategies don't work, and people at a certain level understand that. Because once you can alter your frequency, you make strategies and stuff irrelevant. I mean, this makes no sense, but that's what frequency does. It defies rationality. It makes things that don't make sense make sense. But let's get into first what.
Remember, that's what he sells. He doesn't want to sell any practical information. He wants to sell vibe only. And that's why he's saying that having good frequency vibe will make you win without you needing to do any tactics.
Or has been associated with. So, what we conceptualize as aura kind of is associated with many different things across many different systems and many different cultures. So aura can be associated with, not saying it is, but it can be associated with what you call life force energy, which comes from the philosophy of Taoism. It can also be associated with electromagnetic field, which is a more scientific perspective.
Notice he's linking things that are unlinked. But this is, again, what many of them do. They take something that is unrelated but sounds similar, and they try to say it's the same thing.
It can also be associated with an astral or a emotional body that exists.
Astroglide in jail. But anyway, notice he's taking chi and saying chi is electromagnetic energy, which is the anyway, which is something that let's see, is he going to say that's the aura? Either way, that's not true. Again, it's a good story and good stories sell, but when it comes to truth, it's the first victim of these charlatans,
which is just nothing more than a level of existence that you have. So
notice the definitions he throws back again and again and again. Like, oh, it's a level of existence. It's a level of energy. It's this blah, blah, blah. The world needs you. The world needs your truth in order to fight against these. Because again, what was the problem that delayed me most is that these gurus were not saying the truth. They were just saying whatever was expedient in the moment to make a sale, and that's it. And therefore, if you believe them, you'll be sent on supposedly side quests that lead nowhere and get you no results. This is the real main game. Build your primal status. The world needs to hear your truth. Check out the 10-day email series afterwards in order for you to be ready to win. And the Primal Stats Playbook will arm you with the arsenal of success that is meant for the kings to win. It sounds like Ouspensky with his musical notes. Yes, in outer space. Exactly. And again, all of them steal from each other, especially the modern day dudes. They have ChatGPT open and they're like, what did the disciple of Gurdjieff say? Or whatever they do. Yes, all the people who talk about frequencies trace it back to Gurdjieff hoax. Yes, yes. And even to show you a bit more, human beings need to feel that they know special knowledge that builds the community and builds a sense of group worldview. Even this guy from Nomad Capitalist, and you will hear him here, he is speaking about finding your people because almost everybody's feeling isolated and they're already looking to join your cult as a chosen family that they believe in and that they support forever. If you don't offer them this feeling of belonging, they will try to find it somewhere, even without their soulmates. So do not disappoint and absolutely delay the saving of those souls that are yours to be connected with. Listen to this. Even this guy who's supposed to be all about business and logic is speaking about the lack of belonging.
Some people believe that living the nomad capitalist lifestyle of moving to another country and traveling the world is a lonely way to live. I found just the opposite. And today I'm going to give you an approach for how to make sure that living overseas and traveling is anything but lonely.
You have to understand, loneliness is so painful that you can take psychopathic serial killers, and the way you punish them is you isolate them from other human beings. It's now in the age of isolation, the biggest pain point, and therefore is the biggest lever to moving human psychologically. Let's go.
I've talked about this a couple times before. For me, this is the goal. I recently turned 40. I had a birthday party. I invited friends of mine from all around the world. Now, certainly 40 is a milestone. There are some people that I think did prioritize it because, hey, this is the big one. And yet I get 17 people that I've met, almost all of them.
Both a flex, but also he's speaking to an inciting incident. Often people get a midlife crisis when they're 35, 40, 45, 50, and they decide to change their life. So those become motivated buyers that go to him and they're like, I'm 40 now, I can't wait anymore. It creates implied deadlines, and deadlines create decisions. So that's why he's speaking to people who are on the verge of their midlife crisis, and their big birthday is a huge motivator for people to change their life.
After leaving the United States, who traveled from points all over the world at their own expense to come and spend a couple days with me in Monaco celebrating. I can tell you that of the friends I still have in the United States, none of them would get 17 people to drive across Chicago or across Phoenix, Arizona to go to their birthday party. And I say that in a sort of humbled way, that having traveled all around the world, having lived in close to a dozen countries, in some years going to dozens of different countries, I've met people where there's been a lasting connection, where they would buy a plane ticket and come in some cases all the way around the world to meet me. There have been times living the nomad capitalist lifestyle that it has been lonely. And yet I think that's a choice. And I'm going to talk about that today. I'm going to talk about what you need to know to make sure that your life isn't lonely. Here's the alternative, though. I think a lot of people feel lonely at home. And we often look at things in this sort of vacuum where we disregard the current state of affairs and we just imagine, oh, that lifestyle must be lonely. I'll tell you, there's a lot of people who've come up to me over the years, including at Nomad Capitalist Live, that say, I didn't really feel like I belonged where I was from. For whatever reason, I shared that feeling. I can tell you, that's a lonely feeling. Now, that's not everybody.
This is more important than anything, because being lonely is a lizard brain feeling. Being without a tribe is a deep core feeling. Does it have anything to do with logic? Again, we live in a time where why would you need a tribe? Logically, you have your lodging, you have your food, if you have your basics. But no, to the lizard brain, it's more important. People would prefer to starve with a group of people that they like than for them to be well fed in isolation. And like I said, even the most vicious, most cruel serial killers that love to kill people and to maim them and to see them bleed would still suffer if they're put in isolation.
When we're talking about life force energy is literally the energy that quite
definition. So by defining, he penetrates the mind.
literally powers up the world entirely, powers up people. It's what
nuclear power. Notice again.
You know, it's the foundation of creation. It's consciousness. Everything has life force energy.
So now chi is consciousness. Okay.
And you're going to have.
So everything is conscious. Electricity is consciousness. Notice how these fucking things, again, for the longest time I have suffered, I have followed all that bullshit about trying to manifest and your thing and spend a lot of time and like you're not doing it well. You're not doing it correctly, trying to do it correctly. No, you're not doing it enough, trying to do it enough. Oh, actually, it's inner resistance. Stop the inner resistance. You stop the inner resistance, and nothing happens. And you're like, oh, this always your fault. Same as PUAs. If you go talk to some woman who rejects you because you're a piece of shit pickup artist, and they're like, actually, your intonation. You didn't say this with the right tone of voice, and you say it, and like, no, it needs to be purring, seductive, like. Hello, girl. Like literally, there is some dude which is from Girl Chase, which speaks about cold approach. If you're not purring, like, oh, hello, girl, she will not be interested. Another guy is like, actually, you overgamed. No, you undergamed. You didn't say this. Oh, actually, always blaming it on you, and that's not something that you accept. Understand, you are the center of power in your universe. Never ever do anything that puts the blame on yourself, because that destroys your self-esteem, and your delusional confidence is so precious. Protect it at all costs.
That's you, that it matters to you that maybe you do feel lonely where you already live. I've also talked to
He's speaking to literally the ideal group members, people with money, success, but they feel lonely in their reality, so they're ready to join your tribe. Let's go. Yes, yeah, those Amante, yeah, Chase Amante. Yes, but I was speaking about his other dude, the Latino guy. 1 second. Yes, 1 second. Yes, Amante. Who? Let's see, with his other Latino dude. 1 second. Latino teacher, because that's the one who was teaching. Now when I put Chase Amante, they keep on bringing Chase. I will tell you the guy. I will tell you for real. Yes, I never date a woman who doesn't have a master's degree or the ponytail, because Chase has a yeah. I understand what you mean.
Clients over the years. I've talked to guests at Nomadic Capitalist Live, and I've talked to even people on our team. One of them recently moved to a new country. And what was his reason? His reason was, I was in my own country, and I had all these friends. Yeah, they're good friends, but they're no longer on my wavelength. I've outgrown them in many cases, but they feel this sort of expectation that I'm always available to them. Hey, come to this, come to that. They don't understand the person I've grown into. And for them, it was, I'm going to move somewhere else, almost in the goal of becoming a bit more lonely and building actual organic social connections. I think a lot of people, if you've lived in the same place for your entire life or much of your life, you've got friends that are just there out of convenience. And I think there's a sort of loneliness in that, where you want to have friends that are intentional. What I've told you is, when you go and meet people in other cultures, and there's a great book called The Culture Map that touches.
Anyway, yes, I was speaking about Hector Castillo, or Hector Castillo, who is in the Girls Chase brand, and he's the one who's like purring. You need to train your voice to purr like a cat when you cold approach women. If not, you will fail. Yes, same as Yogi Chris had a beard when Arash did, then shaved when Arash shaved. It literally reminds me of this. 1 second. Which is funny. I noticed that. So they brought some of the people that let's return. There is that video that I spoke about with Andrew Tate. So do you see the dude with the glasses? The one that's one of the people that spend most money on Daddy Coin. Why is he bald? Because if you can look here, you can see that he could grow some nice head of hair, but the beard with the hair that is bald, that's again to copy exactly how Andrew Tate does, and a lot of the Andrew Tate fans will copycat him. But yes, you get it. And let's keep going here. This is a very understanding, a very important psychological understanding about the people that would join your cult, which is the people he's speaking to. Those are our people, very rich, successful, but they did not build their life purpose, so they don't feel meaning or belonging.
On this, but you will create a certain friction in your life where suddenly the people that you're meeting are not going to echo everything that you've ever believed. And you're going to have to take a look at your values, and you're going to have to take a look at who you are in a way that you might have never had to, being an autopilot in your own country. And yeah, I guess for some folks who don't want to grow, that can be a little uncomfortable at first. I can't say any of my friends have yelled at me because we disagree about this stuff, but they've caused me to evaluate what I believe, and they've helped me become the Kaizen, get 1% better everyday model, which for me gets rid of any loneliness that I feel. And so I think we should understand there's plenty of people who are lonely in their own countries, and potentially moving overseas or traveling the world can kickstart that. Sure, to some extent, there was probably a feeling in some of my earlier travels back in the 2000s where I was trying to escape some of the loneliness and escape not feeling like I fit in. And I had to spend time before I left the US for good realizing
Uncommon commonality and Odyssey story. This dude is very good.
I don't want to run from something. I want to run to something. I made a list before I left the US for good of everything I wanted to find somewhere else. And on that list were stronger relationships. One of the things that caused me to evaluate leaving the US was, as I was doing this traveling, as I
Best business in the world. He just shares about his life and story, and people connect with him and want to pay him millions of dollars.
Young single guy, I met women who seemed much more interested in the things that I was interested in, and they were much more interested to hear about entrepreneurship that I was in the early days of and that kind of thing than anyone I ever met in the United States. Now, those days perhaps have changed a little bit with entrepreneurship being a little bit cooler, but I felt those better connections overseas, and it was about running towards something. I feel like moving overseas was part of a journey of saying, I don't feel like I belong. Yes, I have friends here, but there's just a feeling that something doesn't work. And so, yes, we help people lower their taxes and get second passports and protect their assets. But for me, that's just part of the journey of your life can be better overseas. I've taught.
What is he doing? Building to them the promised land and creating intersection of stories. It's even better, but somehow similar to what Nero Knowledge is doing. When it comes to the 33 unfair advantages, each of them uses a few that are different. This guy in particular, Nero Knowledge, is hyper-focused on trying to define words in a way that gives him power over the language of the people, and to create an argument why just being in the right frequency is the secret of success, because that's what he sells, as well as presenting a map of reality, when in truth, if you follow it, this guy from Nomad Capitalist is using the ICAD model. So if you want to think about it, this guy is really good at using ICAD, which is the bonus training that you get as an emperor when you join the membership, in addition to the expiring Advanced Brainwashing Bible. Join immediately before the trainings go away. Bye-bye, because they won't last long. And tomorrow you'll be with us in the Forbidden live stream. But he uses the ICAD model when Nero Knowledge uses the PSC communication container much, much more. And that shows you there are so many ways to win. The ways that are natural to you are the ways that matter. Let's keep going here. And he's speaking to the heart. Imagine you're rich, but you don't feel understood. You feel lonely. You don't feel appreciated by the people around you. And the age of isolation, again, is... like it applies to all kinds of levels. Do not speak to the isolated poop sock peasants. They're not good. Just look at it. Walmart is an example. Walmart is speaking and trying to be a low-level service provider who is providing to the poorest of the poor, and bam, it gets Trump tariff on it, and Trump now is angry, not wanting to allow Walmart to actually raise its prices. And people think, but Walmart can take it. You have to understand that Walmart has around like 24% profit margin, 25%. And so if the tariffs are increased by 30%, which is in its case is often the way, they need to pay you 4% of the price basically in order for you to buy. Again, I'm simplifying it, but this is to make a point. So again, he's telling them don't absorb the difference, which means for they will work and in order for them to pay you 4% so that you will buy their stuff, which will make them go bankrupt. But that's the issue with not being a high ticket provider, or at least someone who builds perpetual ability to make money. This dude goes and makes a lot of money, and no matter how people behave, he still will have a very healthy, big profit
The
margin.
nomad dad, he spends about half of his year now in Mexico. And he's felt the same way. He's met a lot more friends who have made the intentional choice to live in Mexico. Most of his friends are expats who live in a largely expat community. But he's also developed great
This matters more than real value. Real value is boring. This gives people the promise of oxytocin, and oxytocin is addictive.
relationships with locals. He goes to his cafes and his restaurants, and he, has good relationships with folks who are Mexican, as well as the people who intentionally chose to leave the US, to leave Canada, to leave somewhere in Europe, and for the same reasons that he did. And so they bond over, hey, if the US was so good, why are we here? And they have kind of that built-in connection in a way that what he says is, when he's back in the United States, he's like, I don't know that people around here get it so much. Now, my father gave me a permission slip at a very young age. He said, go where you're treated best. That's where the 5 magic words come from. Go where you're treated best. Don't feel like you need to stay in this city, state, or even country to take care of your parents or because of some social obligation. Not everyone gets that permission. I'll never forget a client we had probably 5 or 6 years ago. He was so interested in moving, but ultimately he couldn't pull the trigger because he's like, I have Sunday dinner with my grandma every single week. If you can't get over that, if that's what defines being lonely is not having dinner with your grandma every Sunday, I understand. And ultimately it was, I get it. This may not be for you. And I've always said this may not be for everybody. But my grandma is proud of what I've done, and she's encouraged me. And she doesn't quite understand some of the things. I called her years ago, back in 2014, when I was first thinking of renouncing citizenship. And she said, oh, but you can still come and visit. I said, maybe not. She's like, oh, yeah, that's, she doesn't quite understand how it works. But she's always supported me. And I think having a supportive family is important. For me, what would be a very lonely thing to have are family and friends that force me to stay in a place or make me feel like I have to stay in a place, despite the fact that maybe I don't want to. And we've had a lot of clients and people at Nomad Capitalist Live tell us that as well, where they're like, nobody I talk to understands why I want.
By the way, the location also matters, the art matters, all of this. What do, and think about it in terms of symbolism, what do very rich people who have too much money do? They park it in art. So by him having these gold details on his walls and art everywhere, people assume even more money, and money flows to those that seem to have too much money, and those that get too much money are those with the highest level of primal status. So the building block of your income is how much primal status you have. And again, these matter. Plus, he's speaking to them about promises of oxytocin using ICAD, and ICAD is undefeated.
Second passport. They're all asleep at the switch. They don't get it. And so, again, what is loneliness? We can define it in different ways. I'd say it's
defining words always, and that's a powerful move. Alex Hormozy does it
being
too.
on autopilot, stuck in a country that maybe you see some problems with, but you let other people drag you down because they don't understand you. One of the things that I've seen in myself with that friction that forces me to evaluate who I really am is I've realized most people don't understand us. It's very rare to find a person who truly understands you on a deep level, who hears you, who understands. The odds that they're the kids you grew
Lizard brain squeeze.
up going to school with, or your university friends, or the person you met in a cubicle, at your job.
This matters a lot more than you imagine, a lot more than you thinking. But what value do I offer? Right here, making them feel understood is a huge part of the brainwashing Bible. And knowing exactly what to say for them to feel understood is the whole trick that we masters, is the whole game.
I think those odds are pretty low. I think living intentionally is the best way to build non-lonely relationships. So let's break it down into groups: families, couples, and singles. Families, quite frankly, I think are the easiest. Joshua Sheets is coming back to speak again at Nomad Capitalist Live. He has 5 children, and he and his wife travel all over the world. They live my trifecta model. They did not just move to one place, which is what a lot of families choose to do, certainly if they have that many kids. He lives the trifecta model, and every couple months, they'll go somewhere, generally about 3 different places a year. It's a form of slow travel.
Trifecta model, naming an idea that he has makes it seem like he has a pathway to the promised land that is unique, and that's something that works in every religion.
And they are homeschooling or world schooling their kids, and their kids are friends with each other, and they keep it within the family. He's going to talk about that at Nomad Capitalist Live and how he's
Promised land. People care about this more than real value. They care about how they raise their children. They care about protecting their children from all the viruses of the mind of today. And again, he knows what the fuck he's doing.
built that. One of those kids was even born overseas and got a second passport through what is now a more popularized topic of birthright citizenship. Not in the United States, where they're from, but in Costa Rica. And so if you have a large family like that, you have a built-in unit that can travel. And people say, well, how are my kids going to socialize, especially if I don't have 5 kids? I think what people often don't realize is the same rules apply for making friends and getting involved everywhere you go. I've pretty organically made friends all over the world. There's not a different system.
ICAD. And again, if you didn't have money, this dude will be the biggest incel of them all. But it shows you, incels, it's not that you're ugly and unattractive. It's you don't have enough primal status and your bank account is not visibly busting off the seams.
In Malaysia, or a different system for meeting Colombians. You're out there, you make connections with people, and so you've got to put yourself out there. I think what scares people and what they kind of project loneliness on it for is they don't maybe know how to do those things. But again, if you're living in a country and you're on autopilot, yeah, sure, we go to the PTA meeting, or Johnny goes to the football practice, or whatever. You know what those things are. But what I can tell you is, everyone I've known who's traveled with me or been in my life, living overseas, you go to somewhere new, they pretty quickly adapt. Hey, what's the cool cafe?
The thing that is important to realize, this is a capsule that is part of the Brainwashing Bible. He's now following the structure of the Brainwashing Bible. Those that know, those that don't know, feel how it feels. If you can relate to it on any level, you understand the power of what he's doing and how this is much more potent than coming and telling them the research about the country that is most prominent within the list of moving or a list of travel country. No, that doesn't matter as much as this.
What's the bar people go to on Saturday night? And where are the places to send your kids? And so you've got to figure out where those opportunities are. If you're homeschooling, that's going to be harder. And yet a lot of families, they like to move overseas to make homeschooling easier and give their kids this broad education. If your kids go to public school or if they go to private school, there's going to be activities. There is a built-in system for that. So where's the loneliness in that? You've just got to find the sports, the school activities, whatever it may be. But again, you're doing it with more intentionality. In couples, it's the same thing. I do think that you see a lot of couples who move overseas and then they say, oh.
And notice words. He just speaks, and this turns him into a multimillionaire, best business in the world.
Well, we have to move back when the baby comes. One of the things that I'm really excited about is in a couple of our Live Like a King episodes, we're bringing in guests where they've given birth or are giving birth outside of their home country to show you it's possible. People do it. They're happy. They're well adjusted. Maybe their family comes and meets them. But I don't think that couples have to go home when they start families. But if you're a couple, you do the same thing couples do everywhere. How do you make friends? You go out to various events. One of the things that I've done over the years is host a party. A number of years ago, we hosted a handful of parties at the Majestic Hotel, where we now host Nomad Capitalist Live. It's in Kuala Lumpur. They've got a beautiful event space that you can use. And they've got a great 2-for-1 happy hour. And so you get people together from 5 to 8 by running a Facebook ad or by posting in an expat
GSTTT
group or by posting in a locals group or whoever you want to reach out to. Business groups, you invite people to come. We had one party, we had 50-some people show up. And to make it easy, I said, hey, listen, I'm paying for the first run of drinks, and I think it never cost more than $1,000. And yet, one of those 17 people who came to my birthday party,
By the way, notice for him speaking to the people for whom $1,000 on drinks is nothing, and that's again the quality of the people you should choose. Don't build a tribe of stupid babies that need to be babysit and fed because they are broke as fuck. Build a tribe of terminators, of people who have abundance of money but lack of meaning, because that is the state of a specific kind of ideal tribe member in this new lizard brain economy.
Met at one of those early parties that I hosted back in 2018. Our friendship lasted, and we still talk on a relatively frequent basis, 7 years later, even though we no longer live in the same place. And we've been with each other through the highs and lows in a way where we really have a friendship that focuses on shared interests, not shared geography. And so I've done that as a single.
Similar idea with your soulmates. It doesn't matter the shared geography. There are soulmates of yours that are at every corner of the world. They could be in Fiji and in Japan and in Russia and in the UK and in those penguin islands. Why not? And in Argentina and in Canada. Why not? Your soulmates are psychologically similar to you. We don't care about people's outside looks. And so it is important for you to realize that the internet is the easiest way for you to build a cult. And if you don't use it, the Pope Sock fake gurus will be stealing your soulmate.
I've done that as a couple. Pretty simple. That's how you can go out and meet people. So couples, to me, pretty straightforward. I think what we've seen in some cases is one person leads. One person's more socially active, goes out and meets people. Other times they go to couples groups. It's never been easier to meet people these days, particularly when you have, again, shared interests.
Remember the age of isolation. Why is he speaking about this? Because in the age of isolation, human beings need a belonging. And when you become the purveyor of belonging, as you will discover how to, click the link to primalstatus.com. Every link in the description is an angle to your liberation, to your enlightenment, to your truth. Check out primalstatus.com. That's what he's doing. He's literally speaking to the pain that matters more than anything. People tell you, find a problem and solve it. All the other problems are overcrowded, but to your soulmates, you are the only unique solution. And this is the biggest problem of our generation. The lack of connection, the age of isolation makes people absolutely weep. And it's you who's going to give them the daddy hugs that keep them with you forever.
I don't think a lot of people in their home countries have as many shared interests. If I look at the people that I would spend time with at, let's say, a party in the United States, they were all good people. And yet, do I have a lot in common? Usually it was, hey, this is my friend or my business partner, and we really get along. And then I meet 5 of his friends, and they're fun to hang out with, but we don't really have a lot of high-level shared interests.
That's why build your tribe, build your cult. You will control who gets there, the people that meet the 5 criteria, and you will select only the best of the people to be with you instead of you tolerating motherfuckers that shouldn't even be in your vicinity.
When you live overseas, again, you're kind of forced to resolve that. And so I think if you're single, that's even more important. The other thing about being single is you're probably going to find better romantic relationships living overseas. Again, because of the friction that forces improvement, but also because it seems like the legacy country dating scene has gone bonkers. And when I compare relationships that I hear about in the United States, where I'm from, to people that I meet overseas, I'm not saying everyone in other countries has perfect relationships or everyone is wonderful, but I seem to hear better stories about the relationships in those other countries. And so quite frankly, being single, if you're going to stay in your country and be in a romantic relationship with someone just because, that's going to be pretty lonely. And I have a friend in Ireland. He's an older guy and he's dating. He says there's women in their 40s where their hobby every day is they just go on TikTok and they scroll. And I say to myself, wouldn't you be happier living somewhere with intentionality where you're going to meet people who, even at a much younger age, really have a purpose in life, and you're going to be more likely to find them when you go somewhere else.
Notice again, this is beautiful. He's doing the ICAD or ICAD model so brilliantly. Come on, the dudes and the guys, the kings in the emperor level membership know what I'm talking about, and he is absolutely, he doesn't look like it. You will underestimate him. You look at him and you think, oh, this little nerd, what does he know? Remember, he used to work in radio. And then he moved on to different things that made him be someone that understands that when it comes to the big purchases, the big money, people care about the story and care about the connection more than anything. It was a trick that many people discovered. When people buy mega yachts and they buy private jets and all that, often the story of the builder, the story of the thing is the reason why they buy, not the technical differences, because it's not so different. There are no more unique selling propositions available. Even OpenAI cannot hold its monopoly, but you, your soul, your personality, even if you've been lame in the past, check out the Ultimate Hatrashin package and the part of it that is about charisma coaching, and you'll be ready to win.
So, how many people in their home country have settled for friendships, have settled for romantic relationships, are kind of being bullied into hanging out with family members they don't want to hang out with because that's what you do? Well, go where you're treated best, and that's just what you do. Don't really go together that well. And yet I think there's a lot of people masking a sense of loneliness in very unintentional relationships that they've been forced into, where they're just basically you've got bodies around you. I am a big proponent of the mantra that you'd rather have a couple close friends than a bunch of random acquaintances. And I think not only are there countries, and I've talked about Georgia, for example, some very loyal friends, and it's pretty easy to make friends in a country like Georgia. So that's maybe one advantage. You can meet people there. But even that notwithstanding, you're going to make friends who are going to be, I think, deeper when you live overseas. And by the way, some people don't really need that many friends. Some people enjoy being introverted. And so there's obviously that as well. But certainly building the deeper connections, building the stronger romantic relationships, never settling, and not just being comfortable having people around to say you're not lonely. I think it's actually the opposite of what most people think. When you move overseas, you're going to be less lonely if you take the same actions you took in your.
So that's what he's doing. He's selling them the promise of the lack of loneliness. And what is this guy selling them? Selling them the dream that they can manifest their life without action, which is for lazy motherfuckers. Those are the worst of the worst. What kind of entrepreneur would be paying him money in order for them to increase their frequency? Is the entrepreneur that's not making enough money because they are broke, or they don't know what they're doing, which again shows that he's building a tribe, but that is a tribe of losers. And often you can make the fatal mistake of building the wrong tribe, and that mistake happens in the first 5 minutes, but you only realize it 5 years later, when it is too late, when, like Owen Cook, you build a tribe of people you dislike, people that you do not resonate with, people that take no action, and you're constantly having your blood pressure high because of them. But the opposite is true for us, which is choosing from the beginning the right ideal tribe. And we have the AI-powered ideal tribe selection series of trainings. That is the way of the king.
Life force energy and store it, because the more life force energy you can store, the more aura or magnetism you have, which I'll explain in the video. Electromagnetic field is about understanding which is the most, I mean, you have two, but the most powerful one is the.
If this were true, then those old Tai Chi dudes in China would be billionaires now. And if this were true, you wouldn't find Elon Musk constantly tweaking and drugged out of his mind because he has no life energy. He's numb to reality.
Heart, which is 60 to 100 times larger than the one of the brain. And the heart is a more powerful source. Energetically, it's the first organ that you incarnate with on the physical plane. And scientists were puzzled by it for centuries. They couldn't conceptualize, because the brain is kind of like the operating system of the body, but it doesn't make sense. How do we get hearts before brains? And it's because your heart is a more powerful source spiritually and emotionally. And emotion is the language of God, and spirit.
No, I understand this, and this is wrong. In the past, they used to think and consider the brain to be the heart. They mistook and thought the heart is the essence of what today we know is the role of the brain. And so he's trying to explain something that you will find in old books, but because they didn't know what the fuck they were saying and they didn't know what they were doing. This is misinformation. But again, he is speaking to people and trying to justify it to build his own worldview.
Spiritually is tied to the higher levels of existence, of causality in the third dimensional realm is nothing more than the realm of effects.
So what does that mean? Someone who has a pacemaker or someone who has a heart implant or a plastic heart has no energy, no life force. They're dead but alive. No.
You tap into the heart, not the brain. It's a combination of both, but more so the heart.
You don't tap into the heart. That's a metaphor about intuition and instinct, and it doesn't necessarily reside in the heart. That's an old way of believing, again, that the heart was the brain, and now we know that there is the brain and there is the heart. What he means, tap into your lizard brain. Do not tap into the logical side. That's basically it.
To find out, it kind of links to what we call the emotional body, which is quite literally what it says. Think about it like
what do you mean? Where is that emotional body? How big is it? How many kilograms does it weigh? All of this is a metaphor that he says it's literally what it says. Emotional body is literally what it says. It's not. But people play with metaphors to brainwash the peasants all day long.
An accumulation of emotions that you feel output into a particular frequency. And I speak about this all the time. I always say that the base of your frequency, or the largest shareholder of your frequency, is your emotion. And once you understand that, it's due to the fact that emotion is energy emotion.
Notice the words. People don't use shareholder in this context, but he's using it. The largest shareholder is your emotion.
Energy emotion emits a signature that we call a vibration. Vibration that builds momentum becomes a frequency. Frequency.
Just because you feel it inside doesn't mean it's felt on the outside. Right now, this is map of reality through bamboozling. Bamboozling means that he is trying to stack so many ideas so fast that people have no ability to resist it. So it becomes a form of gaslighting.
It's nothing more than immaterialized reality, and reality is materialized frequency. Frequency can be conceptualized as consciousness, self-concept, self-image, imagination. That materializes into what we call reality in our world. Hence why I always say there's 8 billion people on the planet. There's 8 billion different frequencies, which means there's 8 billion different worlds.
By the way, did you hear that news? There were some videos that I can agree with where people have been underestimating the number of people on this planet, and we are closer to 9 billion or even 10 billion than we are to 8, because people in rural areas were just estimated, not counted. And so humanity might be pushing the 10 billion level. And this, again, we speak about it with so much competition. You cannot stand out no matter how great you are, because value sucks. But the way to win is to build your own monopoly, which is through parallel universe, and building illusions that work. Listen to him, and you will listen to someone who uses words in order to create a map of reality that people will be excited about. But if they believe in it, they will believe in something that they will find fresh, new, but that all leads to one thing, that frequency is the essence, and he's the secret holder of frequency that needs to get paid the big bucks for that. It's straight up, it's like religion, that the God controls heaven and hell, and if you want to go to heaven, you need to please your God and to give him tributes and sacrifices and do as he says. And that's, again, the essence of power, of you being someone who puts yourself on the throne of the God in the lives of your cult members. Cult creation is the essence of success.
One planet. So let's get into it more seriously. Like I said, these will kind of be ticked off as we're going along, so make sure you're paying attention as usual. Bitch, I got my own. If I don't need security in the club.
Does this on bootleg, of course?
Crazy. It's mad. It's mad. There's people that are waiting to pirate my book. It's a mad thing. Like, I got a message. This nigga messaged me the other day. They were like, yo, bro, when's your book dropping? And I was like, oh, it's going to drop sometime in the next 2-3 weeks, you know, but I'll give it like an official release date, probably on my IG. I'll post it on my YouTube. And he was like, yeah, I can't wait to pirate it.
Bro has no intention of buying the book.
I said, damn, bro. I said, you're not gonna buy it? He's like, nah, I'm down bad at the moment. I said, all right, cool. Make me a promise. He was like, what? I said, when you use what I tell you in the book and you can afford it, make sure you buy it physically. He said, say less. So I'm cool. You know what I'm saying? I'm cool. Cool. So there's gonna be a couple points that I go through. As I said, with everything that I just spoke about before. We'll tick them off as we go along. But the first thing that I want to speak about when we're talking about aura is understanding that because life is about people, most of us unconsciously are hiding ourselves from people energetically. And that's what borrow that down. What we conceptualize as aura is this ability to be able to magnetize people. But how can you magnetize and attract people when you're hiding yourself energetically from people? And what do I mean by that? You have to understand that most of us have a fear of being seen. I don't like being seen. I realize this, and I didn't like it for a very long time. I think AJ put in a video that I used to wear a mask even because I don't like the idea of being seen. I don't like the idea of people knowing me. It makes me really uncomfortable for a multitude of reasons. If you grow up in the ends and you start popping off, you're either going to get robbed or shanked. You know what I'm saying? So it's like we have a fear of being seen without coming to the understanding that in order for you to possess aura, you need to transcend a fear of being seen. You need to be comfortable with being seen. And this doesn't just exist in the context of social media. I'm not talking about that. I'm even talking about when you step out into the world, because most of us want to attain certain things. We want either new jobs or promotions in our jobs, or we want better businesses. We want to attract people for relationships or anything else. But how can you do that when you are diminishing your ability to be seen by people? Let's conceptualize aura as a particular degree of light. Let's say people with good, bright auras attract lots of people. But when you have a fear of being seen, you turn down your light. So how could you be seen? So you're the one who's overlooked. You're the one that's counted out. You're the individual, even though you may be qualified, you don't get it. You may be the individual that a person would be good for, and you might want this person, but they overlook you. You might be able to help somebody in a business through your, whatever it is you're delivering, your product or your service, but for whatever reason, they overlook you. Why? It's because you have an unconscious degree of fear of being seen. Now, that fear of being seen will unconsciously lead to self-sabotage and you dimming your own aura, and we, for our example, conceptualize it as light. To reiterate something, how can you magnetize that promotion in your career when you're afraid of being seen? You're dimming your own light. You're overlooked. Now they're not seeing any light towards you. How can you attract that guy or girl when you're dimming your own light and you have a fear of putting yourself out there and being seen? How could you materialize the opportunity of closing a particular client or getting more sales in your business when you're afraid of being seen? Because the truth of the matter is, any type of interaction that we have with people, we have to be seen. But when you have a fear of being seen, you have this particular degree of discomfort with being seen. You then will end up energetically self-sabotaging and dimming your own aura, your light, to avoid being seen. You need to be comfortable with being seen. Because until you can be comfortable with being seen, you will limit the amount of aura that you can emit to the universe. Like say, like aura is a light like this. Those individuals who have transcended the fear of being seen possess what we call aura, or they're able to magnetize. Hence why it's typically associated with celebrities, right? People will be like, nah, that celebrity's got aura. That celebrity could be doing fuck all. They could literally not have any aura. They could not even be doing anything crazy, but people would be like, nah, they're magnetic, they've got aura. Why? Because they're comfortable with being seen, because that's part of it. And until you can make comfort with being seen, which is a mental decision that you have to come to in your head with first awareness, because awareness is the first step to any particular degree of transmutation. And until you're aware of a aspect of you that is a fear of being seen, then you won't be seen. And here's the crazy part about me. Like I said, I have a discomfort with being seen. I have a fear of being seen too. We went from 4K subscribers to 100K subscribers in 4 weeks, and then 7 months later now we're at 300K. I did that with still discomfort of being seen. Now I've taken that off. I've now energetically made myself unconsciously more visible to a bunch of whole other people. And it's something that you need to begin to understand too, because life is about people. Life is about people. Say it with me. Life is about people. And if life is about people and you're energetically dimming yourself and making yourself be unseen by people, how could you ever be upset that you're not getting what you want from people? Because unfortunately, in this third dimension of realm, bear in mind, you're the own source of anything that you can ever materialize. Something that I want to make very clear is that when we're talking about income, when we're talking about business, when we're talking about partners, we're talking about career promotions, you are the only individual that gives you anything. We do nothing more than utilize other people as instruments through which we give things to ourselves. And that's what borrow that down. You might think to yourself, I need to please my boss, pause, to get this promotion so he can give me the promotion, or she. But you have now made your boss an intermediary between you and what it is that you want, without coming to the recognition that you give yourself the promotion. Your boss is nothing more than an instrument of the third dimensional realm in terms of giving you that. It's the same thing with clients. It's the same thing with business. It's the same thing with relationships. It's the same thing everywhere, because the entirety of life is interconnected. One pattern everywhere exists everywhere. Now, how do we get over a fear of being seen? Let me change a different color. The old frequency is funny. It tends to obfuscate information in the way secret societies have done for millennia and centuries, right? They make things more complicated than they have to. Your old frequency will make your progression seem more complicated than it really is. So when you think about moving forward, you're like, oh, how am I going to do it? How do I do this? How do I change my beliefs? How do I do this? It's quite literally a mental decision. It just doesn't feel like a decision. But anytime we begin to speak of feeling, that's how you know it's coming from the old frequency, because your old frequency will utilize your own beliefs against you. And if you want to know if a belief is present, then what do you feel when you begin to attack that particular belief? And I speak about this in my book. I think there's a chapter called You Don't Have Beliefs, Beliefs Have You. And I speak about this inbuilt defense mechanism of beliefs that they have, that when you begin to question beliefs, they begin to make you feel emotions, because emotions are the glue that binds them together. And most of us don't know how to deal with our emotions, so we just shut down any particular degree of rational thinking. You have to mentally decide that you're okay with being seen. It's the only way that I'd probably say.
As you see, all he's doing is repeating the steps of the PSC communication container. I wanted you to get a full glimpse of it with fractionation to bring the trickster and some testimonials. And that's, again, the easiest way to win. To become a senior software developer in the age of AI is almost impossible, but even at a reasonable time frame, it might take you 10 years. But to become a cult leader and to tap into your own lizard brain, especially once you go through the ultimate head trash healing package, which makes you ready to absorb without head trash the knowledge, is at most 3 months to 6 months to reach a solid level where you are one of the strongest people that do it. Remember, being 51% is good enough, and then you win from there.
Cultivating any type of aura. You just need to be comfortable around other people. The second thing that you need to understand is that non-duality. The fear of being seen is nothing more and will lead to nothing more than a fear of yourself. Why?
He's taken the same issues and pain points from the POA market and trying to trace them to frequency and to aura.
Due to the fact of non-duality, which is nothing more than the idea that outside of this third dimensional realm, the law of polarity.
That's one of his favorite phrases in bamboozling. When he says something which is nothing more than, and then he bamboozles the shit out of the lizard brains of the people, making them confused. And when they're confused, they look for certainty, and then he seems to have delusional confidence, so they borrow confidence from him, which makes them penetrated intellectually, is the process many cult leaders use.
Polarity doesn't exist. There is no degree of separation. We're all one. When you fear how other people are going to perceive you, you then make the mistake of thinking that that is coming from outside of you, but it's inside of you. And that
PSC communication container. And right there, he is diagnosing the illness in order to come across as a doctor that can heal it.
Degree of fear, which is nothing more than ignorant faith. Fear is ignorant faith. Faith in reverse. If faith can move mountains, then fear can create them. God's most loyal servant, Job, had his whole life collapsed because of fear. Family died, business died, crops died, animals died. Why? As he says himself, for what I have greatly feared has come upon me. Fear will always lead Two, the understanding of what I call the M of the universe, which is magnification. When you have a fear of being seen, the universe will utilize people, conditions, and circumstances to make you feel more fear. You don't understand that the fear that you feel is nothing more than what you are perpetually setting into motion yourself with a fear of being seen. And here's the irony of being seen, right? And I'll probably say this is number 3 when we're talking about a fear of being seen. Listen to me and listen to me very carefully. And I mean this in the most honest way, and I don't mean to say this abrasively, but your fear of being seen is idiotic for the mere fact that nobody will ever see the real you. What do I mean by that? Even when people look at you or experience you or interact with you.
By the way, that we speak about this as people only know your perception, the perception they have of you, and if you do not make it purposeful to put yourself within the category of a primal status superior, they will immediately put you and consider you the likely most highest probability, which is a post-hoc peasant.
It is likely that they are going to come with preconceived notions of you. Those preconceived notions that somebody will have of you limits what they're able to experience from you. What do I mean? Now, for most of you, the idea of seeing some young nigga with a vest and a silver necklace and shades and a do-rag talking this information, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. Exactly. Let's believe, I'm sure there's people that have seen me puff.
Yes, but this pattern interrupt works in his favor. That's why I said Outlaw addition to the Magician King is overpowered. He's not the only one. He's not the first one. Andrew Tate including by trying to look like a GTA character who's dispensing wisdom, or those videos about mafia boss tells you the secret to life. All those have already worked and still work for a long, long time.
Up on their what's it called, a for you page or a homepage,
Yeah,
and they're like, nah. Why? Because they have a preconceived notion of what this is supposed to be, what this is supposed to look like, what this is supposed to think like, what this.
Yeah, but the good thing, it polarizes, and polarization is a huge way to win without wasting time. So it's useful. He's pretending as if it's a bad thing. That's the same thing as Owen Cook is constantly saying, look, I'm so generous. I'm just doing these free tours for free, when in reality they're sales processes. And he is trying to guilt trip people for the fact that he needs to spend money to sell to them.
This is supposed to act like. People, unfortunately, their preconceived notions limits what they're able to experience from you. So nobody will ever see the real you anyways. I think AJ is one of the best people I've ever met in my life. But my preconceived notion of him being the best person in my life limits him from being the worst person in my life, which he is when we play FIFA. Worst guy.
And table tennis.
And table tennis. He talks crazy shit. Now, the other thing as to why nobody can see the real you ever is due to the fact that their frequency limits what they're able to see anyways. Somebody at a particular frequency lives in a particular world. That particular world molds the way that they see the world without coming to the understanding that their perception is directly interconnected to their projection of reality. So somebody's frequency, where they are, determines what they see. And that's a bar right.
This is a map of reality, and notice, that's a bar right there. Always trying to remind people to take notes on what he says, because supposedly it's amazing wisdom. When people look at you as the leader, but also even to lead them to how they value what you say.
That down. Too many of us are
if you're too humble, nobody's going to value your wisdom.
Afraid of being seen by people without coming to the understanding that some people just may not be on a frequency of positivity. An individual who lives on a frequency of negativity, for example, even in the most positive thing will see negativity. It's like you could see somebody donate, X amount of money to a charity organization. Somebody would be like, yeah, but why didn't you do it here? It's like, what the fuck? It's like, just why? Or yeah, but the rice doesn't even look cooked properly and what the kids are eating. It's like, what? It's like, but your frequency ultimately determines what you see. Somebody with a particular level of consciousness can only see what they are, because you cannot see anything in reality.
This is Overcoming Objections. We'll do huge talks about that tomorrow when breaking down Bobby Axelrod in Billions. Join us as a member in order to be part of that live stream, because it won't be on YouTube. But remember, he's speaking to the issues that socially awkward men in particular and people in general have. So now he is reframing rejection. That's what's happening. And when you reframe, you penetrate the mind through new ideas. Sadhguru and Gary Vee do the same damn thing. Ouroboros Law, King Primal, I have a question. Have you ever seen or did you ever see that Will Smith movie titled Focus? Would you say he demonstrates some sort of primal status? I'm curious. Thank you for the recommendation. I have never watched it, but if it is interesting, we might do a breakdown on it in the membership soon because I'm open to suggestions. So again, thank you and be with us in the membership so that you can watch those breakdowns. Tomorrow I'm doing billions. I'll check it out now. If it is part of the process, if it's good, then I'll do a breakdown on it in very soon.
Than what you are. So even when somebody looks at you, they're not seeing you, they're seeing themselves based upon where they are from a point of frequency. So that's the first thing when we're talking about aura. It's a fear of being seen. Make sense? Cool. Let's get it crunk.
By the way, I haven't watched that movie. I searched for it now, but I know it's the movie where people accused Will Smith and Margot Robbie to have had sex together. But yes, if it is definitely what I remember, which is a movie about con men, is very appropriate for Primal Status.
On that in this dancery, we got you.
Fractionation and singing is the lover and making jokes is the trickster. So thank you, Ouroboros Law. Join us as an emperor in the membership. And very, very soon, before your first month, you will definitely hear some good news about the focus, as well as you will get the Advanced Brainwashing Bible 4.
So got dance for me. Don't need no hateration. How am I doing? Like, let's go.
I'm an older guy, 54. I ran across Nero a year ago or so. I couldn't get into his videos then. Every time he said nigger, it pulled me out of what I was watching. But what I heard resonated with me. I came back repeatedly with the same results. Then at some point, it didn't bother me as much. The wisdom Nero puts out is incredible, especially for someone so young. It amazes me. Now I look for his videos daily. I call it going to church, lol. I watch hour-long videos and one.
Notice, going to church. They need the religion. Do you hear that? They called watching his videos going to church. Why? If you don't provide this element, you lose. And that's why businesses are loser things, because they try to appeal to the logical value exchange, when in reality, it's much deeper than that and has been deeper for 500 million years.
I appreciate what you do immensely. My respect and amazement for you is boundless. I think I'm going to start with your first posted video and binge me some Nero. Heart.
What's his name?
Larry Frank. I'm going to butcher that. Just Larry.
Thank you, Larry. That means a lot. Guys, everything I do is very, very intentional. The way that I speak, you have to understand, there's a spiritual archetype that most of you are accustomed to.
Yes, do you hear that? Everything he does is intentional. And that's, again, you cannot organically, randomly half-ass your way to primal status.
You don't think I know that? You don't think I know what most of these niggas look like? How old they are, the way that they talk, the things that they say. You don't think I'm aware of that? I speak and present myself in a very particular way. Now, I mean, I chill like this.
Yes, I told you, he is using the outlaw to stand out. Plus, again, being different is better than being superior. Being different is the real superiority.
Anyways, like, I ran into somebody yesterday. Shout out that woman from Brum. You know who you are. I always run into her. I ran outside of you, Sainsbury's, and I ran into you at the mailbox. You know, I'm always wearing the same shit for the most part. But when we're talking about the archetype that most of you are used to, this kind of zaps you out of it. The things that I say, you're like, whoa, you know, because what it means to be a spiritual
pattern interrupt, when he's like, it zaps you out of your thing, that's pattern interrupt, which is a huge part of gaslighting.
Person, people have turned into a personality, into a religion. And I'm trying to show you niggas that I don't fit in a box, and neither do you. Don't try to put yourself in a box in the way that you talk, the music that you listen to, the way that
It can work, but for us, we use all 70 archetypes of power so that people cannot figure you out. That's what he means. The more people cannot figure you out, the more you're ready to win.
Act, so on and so forth. Because the moment you get put into a box, you're finished.
This is why that personal branding bullshit of being one way is outdated and shitty, because once the people figure you out, they get bored. But once you keep on using multiple of the 70 archetypes of power, they cannot figure you out, and you win, win, win.
Finito.
Cooked. Fried. Milk.
Nah, because these niggas expect love and light. You know what I'm saying? Namaste. They expect me to talk and act like and be happy. It's like, don't pay attention to how I say what I say. Pay attention to what I say. Really and truly, it's not even about me. You shouldn't be here for me, and I mean that in the most respectful way. I don't.
The opposite. Pay attention to how he says it and how he presents himself, because this is what makes him stand out in a market that is overcrowded.
I need you here for me. I don't want you to, tell me how I'm amazing and how I changed your life. I don't give a fuck about any of that. I want you here for the information, and that's it. So anything else?
SAC dynamics, however, it matters. All those testimonials chosen by his cameraman are adding power to make him the kingmaker.
Nah, ain't finished, nigga. Yeah, my office is a trap. I in South Memphis, nigga. Riding with a fully through the city, nigga.
Someone said, what moisturizer?
Fractionation.
Baby oil. Got that baby oil on, don't you?
It's just cocoa butter. It's really, really typical. And I'm quite ashamed, but yeah, it's just
cocoa butter and some baby oil.
There's no baby oil. Don't listen to him. Don't listen to him.
I've seen the bottles, guys.
He's never seen the bottles.
Over 1,000 bottles in this crib.
Over 1,000 bottles. Sick.
That was the trickster jousting together. Every time he writes on a whiteboard, people expect this to be the truth revealed by a teacher.
Number 2. Your frequency speaks before you've even spoken. Cool. So, going back to what we said.
Yes and no. It's the symbols of primal status that matter. A lot of depressed motherfuckers are still building high primal status. Alex Hormozy is one of them.
Earlier, right? Your frequency is the energetic signature that you emit, so we can associate it with your aura, right? Which we can associate with consciousness, self-concept, yada, 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 yada. Your frequency speaks before you've even spoken. Now, you think people react to your words, but they don't. They react to your frequency. And that's a bar. Write that down. And this can be extrapolated to a multitude of contexts, right? This can be in the context of relationships. You could say one bar to a girl, it doesn't land. A different nigga can say that same bar and she's like, wow.
Real.
You can say one bar to a particular customer to try to get a sale. It doesn't land. Somebody else can say the same bar and it lands. You could have all the necessary qualifications to get this promotion or this job, and you don't get it. Somebody else with maybe even less qualified than you has an ability to attain it. Why? Your frequency speaks before you've even spoken. Your frequency speaks before you've even spoken. Say it with me. My frequency speaks before I've even spoken. A lot of you don't realize something, and you don't realize the frequency or the consciousness that you're outputting to reality. Let's go back to what I just said about the fear of being seen. When you have a fear of being seen and your consciousness is revolving around thoughts that are thinking, oh, no, I'm shy, I don't want to be seen, or I hope they don't see me, or thoughts that reflect, imply, or resonate with the fear of being seen. You output that to somebody, and then you go try to speak to them, and it just doesn't bang, it just doesn't land. Why? because your frequency speaks before you've even spoken. Your frequency speaks before you've even spoken. Your frequency speaks before you've even spoken. Me and Angel were playing FIFA the other day, and he was about to get on a call with a potential client. And I said to him, before you...
No, he's getting on a call. That's again, part of your cult is that you delegate the menial labor to someone else, especially your soulmates that want to build your mission into a missionary evangelist reality. And that's power right
on
there.
that call, it's not about anything you're about to say on that call. It's about the state of consciousness that you're entering that call with. That's a client, isn't it? You close that client. Standard work. Standard work. Standard work.
My guy.
And
Why is he happy about it? Remember earlier he said strategies and doing do not matter. It's your frequency that is makes all strategies superfluous. And now he's like, standard work, you did a good job doing.
It's all about the state of consciousness that you're entering with. Because we made the mistake of attributing causality to reality. I repeat, we make the mistake of attributing.
So he rewarded him for action. But either way, you have to understand when people watch the videos of Nero Knowledge, he doesn't need to close them for real, because they are tribe members who are already persuaded, predisposed, and ready to buy. That's not the same as you being a telemarketer or doing any of those real hard jobs of closing. This is how you build your tribe so that people want to pay tribute to you as the king and the god. And then to multiply that in reality, check out the Primal Status playbook, send it to all your friends, spread it everywhere, and we will win all together.
Causality to reality. There is no causality.
Yes and no. There is, again, emergence, which is something very important that we speak about, instead of total cause and effect.
To reality.
Patrick, but David says the opposite, but he's wrong. And that's one of the things that fuck you up about many of these gurus. They say wrong shit that makes them look good, but if you believe it, you're destined for failure.
There's only causality in consciousness, frequency, self-concept, so on and so forth. To say that another way, we make the mistake of thinking that we can change an effect by changing an effect. You can't change.
Not true. A lot of dark soul motherfuckers are winning. A lot of pure hearted people are broke as fuck. Your frequency doesn't do a damn thing. It's a plus. We use it because it makes it pleasant to be around you as a cult leader. But there are many people who change the world who have not been pleasant. And if you think about Darth Vader, he's not pleasant, yet people still follow and obey.
The third dimensional realm by trying to change yourself in the third dimensional realm. You need to elevate to the high levels of existence, which will be the mental plane, the spiritual plane, and alter yourself there.
Note the bamboozling. He goes for bamboozling, where he presents ideas in quick succession in order for him to gaslight the listeners through confusion.
Because that is the true realm of cause. Let me break it down like this. You are planting mango seeds, and then you go out into the world thinking you're going to get apples. It doesn't make any sense. If you're planting mango seeds, you're going to get mangoes. What are the seeds that you're planting in reference to the interactions with people that you're going to have? What is it? Are you thinking, oh, they're not going to like me, or they're not going to like me, or they're not going to understand me, or they're not going to appreciate me, or they're not going to see me, or we're just not going to get on, or it's just not going to work? You're planting mango seeds, and then you go out there trying to get apples. It doesn't make any sense. Mango seeds lead to mangoes. When we're talking about your frequency speaks before you've even spoken, I need you to understand something. Don't talk to yourself internally in a way that you don't want other niggas to talk to you. That's a bar. Write that down. What do I mean by that? Most of us don't come to an understanding that part of what I conclude or to be your frequency, an aspect of that is what I call emotionally charged thoughts. Not all thoughts are made equal. So you don't have to panic every time you have a negative thought. Like these spiritual niggas have made you guys think that it's about your thinking that creates reality. And every time you're thinking, oh my God, what if I get hit by a car right now? Am I going to get hit by a car? And then you just build this paranoia and send yourself into psychosis. It doesn't work like that. Not all thoughts are made equal. Thoughts that have emotion behind them have a think about it like them being supercharged, and those thoughts have a higher degree or a higher likelihood of materializing into reality. So when we're talking about emotionally charged thoughts, when you're thinking thoughts, fearful thoughts in respect or in reference to people and how those people are going to perceive you and how those people are going to treat you, That is what we can conceptualize as inner conversations. And if your frequency speaks before you've even spoken, those inner conversations will find themselves externally to external conversations. Why do you talk to yourself in a way you don't want other niggas to talk to you without coming to the understanding that those people are an aspect of you? We're all interconnected beyond this third dimensional realm due to non-duality. We're all like nodes connected to the same Wi-Fi. We all have an ability to send information back and forth through thought transference. That's what I mean when I say your frequency speaks before you've even spoken. You stepped into the room and someone's seen you and thought, something's off about that guy. Why? Because you're mentally afraid that somebody's going to perceive you as something being off about you. Your frequency speaks before you've even spoken. And then you will have conversations with yourself. You will treat and talk to yourself in a way internally that is absolutely terrible. It's horrendous. And then you're confused why people perceive and treat you along the lines of horrendousness and just, quite frankly, terrible. How else could they have treated you? What else could they have done for you?
All this explaining the map of reality. Human beings are thirsty for this because understand people are born babies that are premature. They don't have a concept of how the world should be. They're waiting for a mother, a father, someone else to tell them how the world is. And they have been disappointed in the results of the educational system. Their mommy, their daddy, their preacher, their teacher who's teaching them to be poop sock peasants, because the rules of barely surviving, which is not an achievement to waste your life just saying, I delayed death. That's all you did, is I delayed death. That's not an achievement. And the rules of winning, which are the 33 unfair advantages, they're not the same. Again, the rules for you to win basketball are different to the rules of you winning in hide and seek. And in reality is, this is like a great game of basketball where the elites are dunking up and down on you, and your mommy and daddy is telling you that this is hide and seek.
They can't do anything for you more than you can do for yourself, and that's a bar, write that down. Why will you call yourself an idiot internally and be like, oh, you're so stupid, what were you thinking? And then be confused when people treat you to some degree of resonance with that.
We changed that head trash. However, no, there are too many charlatans and even fuck boys who are depressed and known to be on antidepressants and have self-deletion thoughts, who, when they speak to people, speak with delusional confidence and win. I do not believe in this. I only believe in it in a pragmatic way, that it helps you give your tribe serotonin.
Now, bear in mind, this isn't absolving people of their responsibility of just being shit human beings. We're not scapegoating you. I'm simply bringing you to a degree of awareness so you have a capability of understanding that you influence yourself energetically. And energy is the first language that we all speak. And that's a bar, write that down. We just don't feel like it.
Incorrect. I have seen multiple people online who are depressed as fuck and they look like Alex Hormozy, yet, and I will add Iman Gaji to that, and then code, they don't even smile, yet they make millions of dollars, have huge success, admirers, and people that tell them that they changed their life. And a happy homeless person, nobody is loving them or giving them a crumb.
So when we're talking about it, and think about it like this. So internally, right, for somebody to have aura, or for somebody to be somewhat magnetic, whether they're aware of this or not, they unconsciously deem themselves as attractive and magnetic. There's some girls that are just like, yo, I'm the lengest thing out here. Or they wouldn't know what leng means if they're not from the UK. How can I say? Sexy, pretty?
Yeah.
Something along those lines. And there's guys that think the same thing. And then when they walk in a spot, it's like people flock to them. Why? It's because their frequency has spoken before they've even opened their mouth. Because the internal conversations that you have with yourself will find themselves outside of you. Because the internal conversations that you have with yourself will reflect how people perceive you. They reflect how people feel about you. They reflect how people treat you. So make sure that the inner conversations that you're having with yourself are along the lines of you being magnetic. How you want people to treat you internally is the way that you need to treat yourself. And that's a bar, write that down.
That's his catchphrase. That's a bar, write that down. Same as Owen Cook, repeat after me. If you do not tell people to value what you say, nobody's going to value it.
So when you start to say to yourself, you're so smart, You're so pretty. You're so handsome. You're so kind. You're so loving.
We don't use these directly because remember, there is the self-critical voice that will say bullshit. And that's why there needed to be much higher elevations like the primal prayers and many of the other potent shit.
You're so thoughtful. Once you begin to flood your consciousness with these line of thinking, with that particular line of thinking, your frequency, which you begin to emit to people,
We are superior. This is bullshit. If you tried affirmation, you know that a part of you will not truly believe it, but we change the narrative, and that's more potent. Imagine if this life story that you have becomes different. What's up, Surfing? Welcome, right on. I agree with you. How did you find out my channel? How did you discover this? Let me know. How long have you been watching this content? And either way, anybody who has been using affirmations knows that it's the same as lecturing people. It doesn't make a difference in their lives because inside they will call bullshit on
begins
it.
to change. Then somebody's like, there's just something about you. There's just something about you. I can't place my finger on it. Of course you can't, because placing your finger on it is trapped within the realm of the third dimension. What you're feeling comes from a realm beyond this place. If you want people to appreciate,
That reminds me of being friend zoned. That's not really how it works. People can say, you're such a good friend, and yet they go pay charlatans all the good money, and you get no ability to survive in the process.
when we talk about aura and magnetism, it's this attraction. Why would somebody want to magnetize towards somebody who mistreats themselves internally? Because they can pick up on that.
Well, actually, one, there are a lot of people who have grown up with parents that mistreated themselves and the child, and they try to recreate the circumstance, hoping to fix it, and that's trauma bonding. So he's wrong. He's like, why would people go to those who abuse them? Well, trauma bonding, haven't you heard of that? Which again, we don't want to do because one, it infantilizes your tribe, so you will never have a tribe of terminators. And second, it keeps you yourself within the vicious cycle of self-trauma.
Why would somebody want to flock to somebody who isn't internally confident? Because they can pick up on that lack of confidence externally.
Yes, but the problem is I've seen too many people with bravado that are internally shitty, who need coke and ketamine in order for them to present a level of confidence, and like Elon Musk and many others. So it's not real.
It all begins with you. It all begins with you. And let me show you what I mean. We're going to talk about how to work on those inner...
Even Jordan Belfort, remember him? When he was doing all the coke, he was the most confident dude, when deep inside, he was a piece of shit.
Conversations in a bit more detail.
You're making that board really wet, bro.
This is fractionation, always changing topics so that it doesn't get heavy by playing within the trickster lover mix of archetypes, moving away from the magician and the outlaw king.
Man, the best things in life are...
Listen to this comment.
All right.
You're going to love this one.
I don't feel like I'm going to.
They mentioned your favorite rapper. When y'all said about favorite rappers, Drake, Jay-Z, etc., these people are...
Hold on. Let's get our top fives at least correct here. Jay-Z, Nas, Kendrick Lamar, Drake, and I'd either put Gunna or Young Dolph or Nipsey Hussle or Benny the Butcher, for me personally. You?
My top five? Dave.
Oh, yeah.
Dave goes in my top five straight. Drake. Jay-Z.
Finally, some manners.
I've actually been taking them.
I've converted you, some manners.
Gunna. Who would be fifth? I'll probably say J. Cole, you know?
Yeah, for you it would be J. Cole, yeah.
I'll probably say J. Cole. Yeah, so she goes, these people are vibrating in a low frequency, operating in dark energy.
Agree with that. I agree 1,000,000,000. And notes he's doing, let's see how he answers it. But often, I'm sure, it's going to be misdirection. Because again, truth is the first victim of the fake guru charlatan.
I liked what you were preaching about. I liked what you were preaching, but knowing your music taste makes me think about your own energy frequency and alignment and what you really got going on.
What I really got going on?
Music has frequencies and energies.
Really?
Pretty much spell work through tunes and rhythms, etc.
It does. And the new Kanye is really deep down, showing people the power of the spells that can embed propaganda within it that fuck you up, and you'll be singing it all day thinking it's a catchy tune, when in reality anybody can embed whatever the fuck they want into the music. And that's why, again, I've been careful since the beginning which movies to watch, which books to read, which novels to consume, which music to play around me, because I know the author's embedded messages, whether because the author is a poop sock peasant and thinks that's the world, the way the world is, or maliciously, fuck all of them. But very correct, the new Ye is really deep down a way for you to understand someone can create a catchy tune or a great movie about anything they want, including things that do not at all help you align yourself with primal status.
Wow. What we got going on, AJ?
They got us, bro.
What we got going on? What we got going on, guys?
They got us, bro.
What we got going on? We want me to listen to music about elevated consciousness? Oh, darling, I'm a mix between a nerd, a nigga, and God. That's literally my mixes. I'm sorry.
Do you hear that? And God, isn't that delusional confidence? It is. And notice he did not answer. He just said, agreed and amplified, and said, I'm sorry, not sorry.
I'm sorry to let you down, man. I feel like we've just had our spiritual card revoked. You know what I'm saying? And I'll have you know, actually,
all this is not an answer, because she's asking a real answer, which is you surround yourself with dark energies and you claim to be the bearer of light. What the fuck?
My favorite type of music is old school R&B. Thank you. Next.
Even worse, old school R&B is crying about pussy, being femboys, and absolutely weak, who are constantly thinking about making women their life purpose.
They just don't make tunes like that no more, man.
They don't. God. They don't. You know, girls will often be like, I want that R&B love. I'm like,
no, you don't.
Well, you don't. If you really listen to that music, you don't want that type of love.
I agree, 1,000,000,000%.
I remember when it was exposed to me that the song's dilemma was just not really, it's not.
What I mean is, women are repulsed by needy little peasants who pedestalize women. She wants to pedestalize you. So all the R&B shit is the opposite of being a primal status king.
The love you want. You got a girl at home.
That's not the type of love they want. That's what I'm saying.
But you know what I'm saying? Messing with another
These
chick.
are my confessions. Like, you don't want that.
Can't handle that. He can't handle that.
Gotta change my answering machine. You don't want it. Well, you don't want it. All right, cool. So we are. Let me use. Have I used red? I feel like I've got red in my pocket. Yeah. Blue and red. Lovely stuff. So, to kind of piggyback off the initial point that I was just talking about, that people can unconsciously pick up you energetically, we have to come to the understanding that when we're talking about altering our frequency, we're talking about altering our consciousness, self-concept, subconscious mind, subconcept, subconscious mind.
All those are ways to present his map of reality. Understand, he's literally painting some pieces of the puzzle onto the whiteboard and transferring them to the minds of the audience.
The primary, I guess, programmer of the subconscious mind, or the primary alteration of consciousness, or the primary alteration of frequency is emotion.
No, because if you have meditated long enough, you know that emotions are something that can flow through you without at all imbuing your eternal observer with anything, which means that there is a layer deeper than emotions. If you want to speak about frequency, that is the true frequency of enlightenment, which means one is operating within shallow realms, and second, this is his own limited understanding. And so be careful, present your own true deep understanding as part of your life purpose instead of being a sponge to other people's agendas.
Specifically, emotional intensity. If you want to alter your subconscious mind, it's not necessarily about repetition. You can do it. It's a bit long, innit? It's just a bit long. But what you should be aiming...
No, again, repeating doesn't necessarily mean a damn thing. There are a lot of people that you can do affirmations all day and still not benefit because their inner resistance is telling them it's bullshit.
For is emotional intensity. Why? Because emotion is ultimately the true language of the subconscious mind. We see examples of this every day. An individual only has to go through a traumatic event once for their entire perception on reality in their subconscious mind to be programmed by it.
Yes, but that's why the first impressions you have on people are very potent, but also this works a lot more with negatives than with positive, intense emotions.
Negativity. Now, we can use this in a degree of alteration and understanding the opposite energies. You can use this for the direction of materializing your desired reality, which should be the sole purpose of why you're watching this. Spirituality without the ability to control your reality is nothing but vanity.
That's something that he created. It's not true because, again, if a monk is meditating in order to reach enlightenment rather than to make money, according to the definition of Nero Knowledge, that monk is a loser just because he's pursuing spiritual goals without practical benefits. But even more specifically, you have to understand and look at the world. There are a lot of enlightened people, including, do you remember the self-immolation monks that used to protest against being oppressed? Well, the people with guns, with the dark vibe and guns, were controlling the monks who had the high frequency and had no power in their lives. Again, your frequency is something optional. It's a bonus. But if you spend your time falling in prey to trying to control your frequency, you're wasting precious time you can use to win.
You know what I'm saying? People would be like, oh, you can't listen to Jay-Z, you can't listen to Drake, and then them niggas aren't living in realities that they want to be. And what's the point of putting on...
Is that an argument? Is that an argument? That's an ad hominem. What do I mean with that? Which shows you it's not about logic. People told him, yo, dude, you're listening to dark vibe rappers. And he's like, well, you're not living in your reality. You're not living in your desired reality, which again, doesn't mean anything because there are very many deep state actors who are fucking weirdos and Luciferian who live in their reality. Doesn't mean anything because it means the good guys must awaken and we take over what is ours.
That persona, even understanding that personality comes from the word persona. Etymologically, persona is mask. It's just a mask. I don't have to wear a mask. You understand what I'm saying? So coming to...
No, just because personality comes from the word persona doesn't mean they're identical, doesn't mean that it's a mask. It means is the way you appear in this world, but there is a larger than life persona that you can embrace right here, that is yours, that is your dream being, that is you being the God in your reality. Click primalstats.com, go to the free evaluation, read the free playbook and this link. All the links in the description are worth their weight in platinum and gold. And that's the essence of being someone who's winning. Let's return. And again, did you notice instead of explaining why he listens to dark souls rappers, he said, you're not living in your ideal reality. This is literally the same thing as what color is your Bugatti? He's literally saying the same thing, that if you don't have your dream life, you're not qualified to criticize or to say anything. It's straight up, what color is your Bugatti? And I told you, all of these gurus, they don't answer anything logically. They either shame, ad hominem, guilt trip, or try to reframe things in a way that is not supposed to be appropriate.
Understanding that ultimately, the true language of the subconscious mind is emotional. What you should be aiming for is emotional intensity. Now, I've made entire videos on how to program the subconscious mind, but because I like you guys and I'm feeling in a good mood, I shall explain to you how you should go about programming the subconscious mind, or the quickest way to alter your frequency, alter your consciousness or your self-concept. Now, as I said, you're aiming for a particular degree of emotional intensity. Now, does that mean euphoria? It depends on the type of person you are. Does that mean excitement? It depends on the type of person you are. There is no one size fits all. It's your reality, so it's depending upon your degree of how you would act in that reality. So that may be euphoria. It may be excitement. It may be joy. It may be happiness. It may be, for me, just relaxation. I'm just calm in it. For me, it's just relaxation. Once you have kind of pinpointed which one it is for you, which is going to be personal to you, right? You know yourself. When you get something that you want, how do you feel? Are you like, that was kind of like me smiling, like, euphoric. Yeah. Or are you joyous? Are you happy? Are you relaxed? For me, like I said, it's relaxation. So my degree of emotional intensity, when I'm in deep relaxation, that's me. That's my thing. Now, once you pinpointed it, all you need to do is utilize your imagination to create a scene. Make sure the scene is simple, and make sure the scene implies that what you desire has already happened. So you're looking at it from a past tense. It should also be incorporated with a loved one, because it makes it easier to begin to draw emotion once you see a loved one. So I'll give you kind of like a simplistic overview of how I do it and how I tell my clients to do it. By the way, if you're an entrepreneur, an athlete, or an actor, or whatever, at this point, who even knows? Because I'm working with many different people in all different types of fields of life, and you feel like you have this particular degree of potential that is capped. You just can't break above it, and you want to unleash that potential, then link in the description. I work with actors, I work with footballers, I work with NFL players, I work with 6 to 8 figure entrepreneurs. So yeah, link in the description. But this is what
all that's a tactic. And he said, you don't need the tactics, you just need to be on the right frequency. You don't need the strategies. But either way, you have to know, out of more than 100,000 or 150,000 people, if he gets 10 Lucky Bergies, it doesn't mean that he's amazing. It means, one, some of them were in the right place at the right time, and others have the placebo effect. And that's something that is useful to you to know. People will borrow confidence from you and change their lives just because you choose to be the cult leader, even if you did nothing in the process.
I tell them to do. So I always say to them, you don't want something extravagant, because when you begin to utilize your imagination, you have to understand that to utilize your imagination, it's like drawing upon a mental battery. If your shit is like super, super flashy and you're hopping out the Rolls Royce and somebody's popping confetti over you.
Why not? Some people do that and it doesn't hurt their life. So notice again, always blaming it on you. Same tactic as the POAs and all those where you've been doing it wrong. That's what they say. And always, no matter what you do, they will find a weakness in it in order to blame it on you instead of accepting the fact that they're creating some random placebo that defies all explanation because it's nonsense.
And somebody gives you a glass of Dom Perignon, like it's all a bit too much, and it's intense on the imagination.
Why? No. Again, why is it intense on the imagination compared to what he said? You need emotional intensity. Look behind him, next to his hand, emotional intensity. Now he's saying intensity is bad, dog.
We don't want that. We want something that is nice and simple and repeatable, because we're not aiming for extravagance mentally. We're aiming for emotional intensity. So
he literally said, oh, Dom Perignon out of a Rolls Royce is too intense. And now he's like, we're aiming for emotional intensity.
I always say to them, imagine a loved one acknowledging whatever it is that you wanted to attain. So acknowledgement from a loved one. That could be them congratulating you. That could simply be them recognizing that you got what you want.
By the way, this is the GSTTT part of the PST communication container.
So, in this instance, when we're talking about aura, this comes down to two things in particular. This comes down to approval and validation. I'll tell you right now, individuals that
we want to be self-approving and self-validating because of the way that you will be the source of the validation of others.
got no aura, require external approval, an external validation.
Yes, and we want to give it to the people who will come starving for it, and they have money, they have success, but they don't feel validated by those they care about.
I repeat, individuals.
What I mean is they don't feel surrounded by soulmates, so they don't care about the approval of those who are the wrong people.
That have no aura, no ability to magnetize opportunities, have no internal approval and no internal validation. Now, throughout various points of all our lives, there's been times where we haven't had as much internal approval as we needed. So we looked for it externally. There's been times where we didn't have enough validation. So we looked for it externally. And that's an uncomfortable feeling both ways for the individual that's acting out of that state and the individual that's interpreting somebody in that state. You know, people typically have this disdain or dislike or this discomfort when we can feel somebody's trying to get our approval or somebody's trying to get our validation. It just doesn't feel right. So as I said, it doesn't feel right both ways. So it's about understanding that what we refer to as approval and validation, something that is external, has to be made internal. And the process through which it's made internal is simply what I described over here. So utilizing your imagination to get a loved one to acknowledge you for attaining what it is that you want. Now,
not really, because then you will constantly feel and be affected by people's validation. Just because you imagined it doesn't mean that it becomes self-sufficient. For us, it's different. It's when you see your future as inevitable because you're the king that was promised, then you know how much you will change the world, and your future is the source of all your serotonin and self-belief.
This entirely depends upon your desired reality, and this is going to be in direct reference to it. So please extrapolate this to your desired reality, whether this is getting a career promotion, whether it's getting to a certain point in your business income, whether it's attaining a certain role, whether it's being with a certain person or being in a healthy relationship. The issue is you have no ability to magnetize those things because you don't have what it takes to magnetize those things. I'll give you an example. So let's say there's a butterfly. It's really hard to chase a butterfly, right? If you try to chase a butterfly, it's just hard, isn't it? Because it just flies into the air. It's like, it's a difficult thing. But when you have what the butterfly wants, which is a specific scent, that butterfly then comes to you. And this all comes down to the understanding that any time that we are going after something or we're chasing something, we indirectly, unconsciously separate ourselves from it instead of having what that thing wants. There's a chapter in my book, and it might be in the description, it might not be. If it's not, then that means it's not out. And if it is, then that means it is. So, but there's a chapter in my book that I call The Desire of Your Desires. You have to understand that on a deeper level, beyond what it is that you want, so that career, that job, what you want is an emotional state. And when you can pinpoint that emotional state and you know it, then you can utilize your emotion to create it internally. And when you internally create it, you no longer need it externally, because once you have it internally, then that will be the scent that attracts the butterfly to come to you. And this is so crazy because I think I was talking on live, on Instagram live the other day. I remember someone asked about how do I have aura, right? And a thought popped up in my head. Anytime that I spoke to any millennial, so me and AJ are millennial Zs. Obviously, we're Gen Z by birth, but mentality will probably more closer to millennials. But anyways, any millennial that you chat to about aura, if you say to them who's had the most aura, consistently the one answer I found is Michael Jackson. My oldest, my uncles, they will not stop talking about how much aura Michael Jackson had.
True.
Obviously, I was born in 2001, so I wasn't really like there when he was there. So they'll make me watch clips. My man will hop on the stage and just be like this. And they were telling me that people were fainting from him not speaking.
I've heard the same stories, bro.
Millennials love talking about Michael Jackson's aura.
It's mad.
They'll be like, yo, he didn't even speak and people were faint. They had to bring ambulances because people were just passing out. What?
But there is much more to it. Michael Jackson is a great case study in Primal Status and the effect of Primal Status preceding, and doing all the hard work for you.
I was like, what?
I didn't know how serious it was. I didn't know how serious it was until I saw those videos. He's definitely got aura. He's definitely got, he had it, Star. He had it. I saw it. There was one stage where he just pops up on like the platform and he's just like this. He hasn't even spoke, hasn't even performed. He's just like this. I'll show you the clip after. And people are like, grown men, grown 6 foot men.
Nah, Michael Jackson built a difference.
That's the power. No, that's the power of primal status. Anybody who would have created the same reputation would have the same results. Again, it's a position within the minds of people that they require. If you don't fill it, a charlatan will take it over.
Built different. And it all comes down to this. You have to understand that anytime we desire a degree of external approval, external validation, this diminishes our aura because we're projecting our aura outside instead of...
Remember, he is here sharing his map of reality as truth using delusional confidence. You should find yours, the blind spots you see that other people do not, and build a life purpose and a map of reality around it.
Aura within. The more aura that you're able to store within you, the more you will set in motion for all those butterflies, which we can conceptualize as your desires, to come to you because you have what they want. But individuals that go out and seek external approval and validation will never get that. Now, how often do you approve of yourself internally? How often do you validate yourself internally? Most of us have this particular state of consciousness that we're not enough or that we're missing something. Your frequency speaks before you've even spoken. Always bring it back to that central point. If your frequency speaks before you've even spoken, if you feel like there's something that you're missing internally, then guess what's going to emanate outside of you? People are going to feel like, there's something off about that person. Or that person is a bit... And the only way you can do that is to utilize your imagination with a loved one. Now, the question that comes to mind is, if I'm using like a loved one congratulating me on being in a super healthy relationship, they've never seen me more happy, or getting that career promotion, or getting that job, or reaching that point in their business, aren't I using somebody external to me? No, because the entire point of generation is within your imagination. You're not seeking it outside of you. Yes, you can use external figures, but because the central breeding ground is internally, you're good. You're good. Another thing to mention, so when I was talking about things that are associated with your aura, and I was speaking about electromagnetic fields, and I also spoke about emotional body. Let's kind of merge electromagnetic fields and emotional bodies into one, because as I said, the more powerful electromagnetic field that we emanate comes from the heart, 60 to 100 times larger than the one of the brain. Your emotional body is thinking about your emotional residue. So if on a daily basis you're allowing yourself to be, swayed emotionally, to be angry, to be...
For us, we speak about this in that those 5-minute tools that you use from the process of the ultimate head trash healing package is something you do every day, even once you reach your head trash liberation, because like a shower, you might pick up on some dirt within your lizard brain that might limit you if it compounds and accumulates, but then you sweep, and you, like a gardener, will take out the weeds that do not matter, and then every day you're in tip-top shape and ready to win. A lot of spirituality has been imbued with the mental masturbation that is entertainment for losers that do not want to take action. We want to take action and to take from the ways that you can liberate yourself from the head trash, what works, only what works, and leave the rest for the losers while you are winning.
Set to be frustrated, to be irritated. The base of your electromagnetic field is going to emanate things that are resonant with that degree of negativity. Your emotional body, so your emotional residue that you energetically carry with you everywhere, is not only going to attract people that are complementary to that particular energy, but it's also going to then be taken by the universe and magnified to give you more situations, circumstances, and events that make you...
How does he know? How does he know what the universe will do? Again, all of these are things that human beings need someone to tell them the invisible, an oracle to predict the future. Even if it's not real, the story and the narrative of it is too exciting and too demanded by the lizard brain. So you need to embrace this mantle.
You feel more frustrated, more annoyed, more apathetic, more sad. So, quite literally, your day-to-day emotions matters more than you think. And the thing about emotions is that they've kind of been led or portrayed to be something that is out of our control. But your emotions aren't out of your control. But you can't control your first thought or your first instinctual kind of reaction, but you can control what happens after that. And so long as you can remember that and you can bring yourself to a degree of central, happiness or joy or love, then you will be you will emanate an aura that people want to be around. You know what I'm saying? We all know people, like whether family members or friends, when them niggas come around, you're just thinking, oh. And they might not have even spoke, but they don't have to, because their frequency speaks before they've even spoken. So if you don't want to end up like them, make sure that you're keeping your degree of emotional state, your day-to-day mood, in a degree of positivity. Now, is that a call for toxic positivity? And when when you're down, to try to act like you don't feel like the way? No, of course, process that emotion and let that go. I have a video on how to deal with those circumstances called, I think so, the 3 T's or something like that, which takes you through a process of internal emotional transmutation, right? It's not about ignoring your emotions, because what you resist persists. You should never ignore your emotions, but you should transmute them. But the only way you can transmute them is if you sit with what's making the way that you're feeling and not try to ignore it. Because more often than not, when we're stressed about bills or someone's pissing us off or something's just not going right, we just try to move on.
By the way, do not be impressed by him. Even though he has the gift of the gab, the most valuable thing that you do in cult creation is building parasocial connections with your soulmates. There's something that's beyond the ideas. That's something that's beyond real value. That's even beyond the map of reality, although that is useful. So remember, you'll be surrounded by people you love, and people who love you, who have been yearning to find you, who have been disillusioned in the past, and the people they followed. And now it's your turn to win. And now it's your turn to be more than the alternative, but to be the only choice that makes sense, whether to their heart, soul, or emotions.
Everything's okay. No, what you need to do is sit yourself in silence and bring whatever's stressing you to the forefront of your mind and confront it instead of avoid it. Because when you try to avoid or ignore reality, you're telling that particular frequency that you are its bitch, because you're running away from it, because you don't have the energy necessary or the frequency strong enough to overcome it. So whatever it is that's stressing you, and I've done this multiple times, I even tell my clients to do this, when bank accounts is getting low and you don't want to look at your bank account, brother, stare at your bank account until all that negativity that you feel comes up to the surface, and naturally, whether it takes you 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, it will dissipate. And when it gets to neutrality, then you have made it easier, because most people try to go from straight negativity to straight positivity. That's too much of an energetic jump. When you go from negativity to neutrality, now you're halfway to positivity. Then it's about shifting your concentration to look for something in your life that can bring you that particular degree of emotional happiness, emotional joy, emotional excitement. And then understanding that that concentration is the first step to vibration. Vibration then becomes frequency. Frequency then becomes reality. I feel like I should have wrote that all down on the board, because I was just literally just me speaking. But make sure you go back and kind of catch what I said, because there was some real stuff there.
Man, this is going to be a struggle to read. I see so many spelling mistakes. Someone said, Nero, my Zimbabwean brother.
Yeah, for people that don't know, I'm Zimbabwean. I mean, Nigerians try to say I'm Nigerian. Jamaicans try to say I'm Jamaicans. I had an Indian brother the other day try to say I'm Indian.
That's
I said, we're going too far now.
I guess it makes sense why there's so many spelling mistakes. Anyway.
Cheeky, don't violate my people like that.
I'm joking, don't come to me.
Pause.
That's ridiculous. Anyway.
You're the one telling them. Okay.
All those will build uncommon commonalities. Why do people want him to be Indian or want him to be Nigerian? It's again because they are looking for the parasocial connection, and they want to build it with him, and they want to have more of the uncommon commonality.
You showed me how to manifest properly. I recently manifested a sale that was struggling to close, with him even wanting a bigger system installed, leading to a higher commission. I basically manifested the most commission I've made to date. I'm so happy and grateful. Shout you out, that's sick.
That's hard.
That's sick.
That's hard. That's real. That's hard. That's fine. One thing that I would like to do personally is actually just thank you. And you didn't even know I was going to do this. That's why you're just staring at me. Come over up here to the front. See you guys. See?
So he's going to use the peacemaker by thanking the cameraman. He shows the magnanimous side of the king, which is the peacemaker in this instance. And peacemaker should only be reserved to your tribe members, to your soulmates. So it's appropriate he uses it with this guy who fits the 5 criteria, not with any random dude. Respect for the Invictus Kings is not automatic. It is earned by the character and the person and the king you choose to be.
He doesn't even know. So guys.
Oh shit.
So obviously, this is AJ. You can see that. Don't worry about that. You can see that AJ is a real person, and
I'm not white, by the way. Yeah.
Or a reptilian, or a cyborg, or an AI, or I'm not a ventriloquist. You know, just and it's him. Like it's him. But so we're coming up to the 1 year anniversary of this channel going from like 4K to like 100K. And
by the way, remember another thing. Nero always slips in, oh, I'm not a lizard person. I'm not a blah, blah, blah. All those is because it makes him associate with mythical creatures. Even if he's dispelling it, the brain still links those ideas, and that makes him more of a high primal status creature than being a mere mortal.
So, of course, that's led to me articulating my thoughts and being able to write a book. And that couldn't have happened without you. Like, honestly, like my frequency and his technicality is the whole reason why this is the way that it is right now. So for anybody that wants to kind of do the same, this is the guy to come to. And I couldn't have done it without you.
This guy didn't even know you didn't even mention.
So that's the peacemaker. He's helping his friend make sales and make money. And again, when you take care of your tribe and of your soulmates and of your allies, it's always a positive thing that sends the right message to the right people. But being magnanimous to random motherfuckers who did not earn their spot because they don't fit the 5 criteria shows that you're reckless and that you are wasting the essence of your life away.
Yeah, of course not.
I appreciate you, bro.
I really couldn't have done it without him. It's actually quite bad though, because I feel like he's about to go on holiday and I've got nothing to do. So it's like, you know what I mean?
Literally flying out Monday.
Like there is no Nero Knowledge without you, honestly. So don't die or these niggas won't get no more videos.
But also, again, that shows you the power of your soulmates, as they will be the delegations that will help build your primal status and your kingdom. You don't have to do it by yourself, and you don't have to have employees with their employee mentality when you can have soulmates that are volunteering and dedicated.
Yo, they'd have to make a documentary on that shit.
You know what I'm saying?
They'll probably make up conspiracies as well.
Oh, they'll say I sacrificed you.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
They'll say I sacrificed.
100%. They'll be like, oh, this is why he's able to do all of this.
Cool, guys. So, the final thing for you to understand, I believe,
another thing. Notice when the cameraman is speaking about, they need to do a documentary about this. Who do people make documentaries about? It's mythical creatures, special beings, men who are heroes and demigods. So by default, it always keeps on putting bird by bird, step by step, all the notions and understandings within the mind of the person reading.
Psalm 46:10.
And the person listening, all those.
So the scripture in the Bible, Psalm 46:10, that says, "Be still and know that I am God." The more that you're able to immerse yourself in the godly consciousness, the more you will be above the day-to-day naturalities of reality. So the natural things that go on in this third dimensional realm. So for example, having to have certain qualifications. By
the way, it's the opposite. If you think about Buddhism, it's the up and down of the day that are the God of the universe, because those are expansion and contraction. So again, being still is not necessarily being God. When he's saying it's being above the ups and downs of reality, it's being the ups and downs of reality that connects you with the infinite yes and the infinite no, the infinite expansion and contraction, which is the essence of life.
Look a certain way for a guy or a girl, having to have these particular strategies or systems in your business to be able to get clients. The more that you're able to transcend that, frequency defies rationality. Frequency defies rationality. Your frequency.
Notice how he's selling, always selling how the frequency will bring them more money and clients to their businesses.
Will make shit that don't make sense make sense. There's people that we know things don't make sense for, but individuals that have the ability to immerse themselves in that degree of God consciousness have the capability of being able to attain that. Now, when we're talking about stillness is aura.
Let's remember, those people spent 40 years, 50 years meditating, and he's like, just do it, bro. Owen Cook does the same
I
bullshit.
need you to understand something very, very important. The more that you are able to bring yourself to stillness, what this does through meditation.
Again, how many years? If you've meditated, and I did more than 11 years of meditation, of doing Vipassana, I know how hard it is, and sometimes you just can't. No matter how many years you meditated, you can't bring yourself to stillness. And then telling people, like, the first taste they might get of this will be after 3, 4, 5 years. All that is not the shortcut or the thing. He's just saying, just do it, dude. Just bring yourself to stillness. Okay. How long will it take? 20 years?
And you can just conceptualize this as just simply sitting in silence. I always tell my clients sit in silence, well, depending upon the client, but let's just say at a baseline, sit in silence every day.
If that were true, then literally every monk in this world will be at least a multimillionaire.
15 minutes straight in silence, right? Don't associate.
Because remember what he said. He said it's the butterfly effect that will create your dream. Well, monks have lived for a long, long time. How many billionaire monks are there? Zero.
With your thoughts, don't agree with them, don't ignore them, don't try to debate them, don't try to argue with them, don't agree.
If this were true, then the Rothschilds would be the Buddha. They will be like superior to the Buddha because they're worth $5 trillion, like straight up. The Medicis, who are also pieces of shit, constantly creating wars and shit like that. And at the time, they were worth almost $2 trillion in the equivalent of their time. Like straight up, he's speaking about shit that, look at reality, it doesn't match at all. We know the truth. It's the level of primal stats you have, not who you are, that matters. Unfortunately, still take care of yourself, meditate, do the good shit for your own self. It feels good, but that's not what makes you win.
With them, just sit in silence and allow them to go through. Because what you do is that you enter the temple of God. And every time you enter the temple of God.
Yes, but unfortunately, the poorest, most broke people are the ones residing in all the temples in the world. You don't find the rich people in the temples. You find them straight up in corner offices, and you find them in the stock market and in banks.
God, you come back with a stronger frequency. And when we're talking about life force energy, your life force energy is grown by your ability to immerse yourself into that degree of God consciousness, which is that silence. Be still and know that I am God. Before you can know God and truly transcend these third dimensional realm conceptions, you have to be able to be still. Before you can know God, you have to be still. So part of aura is just...
I agree with Gary Halbert in this way. Action gets you more result than meditation. Instead of being still, get busy. I will say, get busy. Yes, you might be in the beginning going in the wrong direction because you don't understand the map of primal status, but at least you are getting used to taking action, and the world will tell you you're going in the wrong direction, which will bring you, and your destiny brought you to this video so that you understand the right direction for real. Which is what? The right direction is what you find at primalstats.com. Go there. The right direction is what you read in the Primal Status Playbook. Go there now. Remember, we are born to win, and we are here to liberate ourselves from the old shackles of these charlatans because they say things in order for them to pretend to be superior, when in reality, often those contradictions fuck you up because they fill you with the wrong assumptions leading to wrong decisions. And we're here for accurate thinking. We are here to win.